So Matt was the Leonardo DiCaprio, and he got off the iceberg, or he got off the piece of the ship.
Plenty of room on the door for me.
Yeah.
Yes. That old chestnut, that old argument that I think Cameron has come out and said, yeah, they couldn't have both fit on there, and everyone's like, bullshit. They both could have fit on there.
They actually did it on
why.
Mythbusters.
That tells you when you've made it to Mythbusters, you know that you're truly like a big cultural topic of discussion.
Yeah. Here's the funnier thing. I've never seen the movie.
You ain't missing nothing.
Matt has.
I laughed my head off and towards the end of the movie, and I got dirty looks.
Oh, was the propeller?
Yes. See?
Is it sad that I knew that that's the exact moment you were talking about?
I was.
No, because we all have the same sense of humor.
I was sitting there watching it. The dude falls, and you just hear this, "Dong!" Lost it. Everybody's looking at me, and I'm like, "What? That's funny."
It's like, bro, you can't aim better? Come on, it's a giant propeller.
And truthfully, you all know why I saw that movie.
You are listening to Trophy Horse with your hosts, Tricky Mick, Alex, I Yield to No One,
Steve, and Sid.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Trophy Horses episode 563. And what a crew we got for you all tonight. We have longtime co-host I Yield to No One.
Well, hopefully my internet doesn't die this week.
Yeah, you got kicked off last week's show very unceremoniously. Did you not? Either you? Who do you all have for internet?
Spectrum.
Oh, good. Do you see in Louisville? I don't think we have great options for internet because, like, mostly for most people, it's Spectrum or AT&T, and neither one are great.
Well, and the weird thing was, so it kicked me off the computer and wouldn't log back in. My phone wouldn't hook up to the internet as well. But my wife was streaming and it was working fine. That's how our internet will act.
You can't trust it.
No, you can't.
Yeah. But, I mean, do you all typically have good service from Spectrum?
It's not too bad. It has its moments where we got to go turn the router off for like 15 minutes and turn it back on so it'll start working again. But it's not too bad.
And, as you can probably guess, Tricky is not with us this week because if Tricky's here, I'm making him host, so I don't have to host. And, because you all deserve the best host, and I will fully admit that Tricky's a better host than I am. But with us, we got to do our A game because we got the Grinellis with us. We got Matt.
You know, when Tricky asked us on, and before he told us he wasn't going to be able to make it, I was wondering if he had lost his mind because, like, who voluntarily asked us both on at the same time, if not Tricky, and wanting to experience the pleasure that is the dual Grinelli relationship.
Well, I mean, look at it this way. Like, the last episode, like, we all thought it was going to be doom and gloom for Tricky, or, like, just complete podcast Armageddon. It went really well. And he survived. And, I mean, clearly, he just, like, you know, I gave him a hide and seek for him. He just asked you all on and then ran the heck away, you know, knowing that he wouldn't have to deal with any of this. But you guys always are on great shows, so he just figured, you know what? We need solid people to come on and record, and it's the Grinellis. So, Veronica, how are you?
I am doing well. How are you guys? How is your weekends?
Could be longer.
Seriously.
Yeah, this weekend we didn't have a windstorm try to blow us away in Kentucky, so, you know, that's a positive when the weather plays a bit nicer.
The weather up here is just, it doesn't want to make up its mind. One day it's 70, the next day it's 30, the next we're getting snow, so it's fine.
Yeah, it snowed here today.
So it seems like we're experiencing similar conditions with the weather because down here, like, we're having flowers bloom now because they have no idea what's going on with the weather. So, like, one day it's in the 80s and the next day it's in the 30s and, like, the plant life is like, what's going on? I mean, I'm the same way, but also, you know, my existence isn't nearly as important to the existence of every other living thing as plants and trees are. So mildly concerning. But
we do have good internet. I will say that.
Yeah, I would assume up there on the East Coast, especially so close to New York, like you guys have to have good options. Who do you guys have internet through?
Verizon Fios.
Okay. So if Verizon Fios ever becomes available, I should go with that.
I think the catch is if you have more than one option in your area, you have choice, and that's ultimately the best thing in the world. Because, and if I can go on a diatribe here real quick.
Sure thing, sir. We love diatribes on internet service.
We had Optimum Online before Verizon. And I'm literally sitting in my backyard as I see a guy with a Verizon shirt walking through measuring areas. And I go, hey, what are you doing? He goes, oh, Fios is coming to your area. And I said, oh, finally, thank God. Went online, booked an appointment right then and there. And I call up Optimum. And I call Optimum and they say, hey, thinking about switching to Fios. Wondering if you can work with me on any sort of deal. So that way I don't worry about the hassle of changing over. And the guy I spoke to on the line said, nope, sir, you're already on promotion. I said, all right, thanks. So I go ahead and I finish out the schedule of Verizon. I get it in. Everything's great. Then I call up Optimum again and I tell him, hey, I need to cancel. And the guy's starting to go on with all of his special things. And here's what we could do for you. And I said, whoa, where were you 2 weeks ago when I called? And I said, I'm thinking of switching. Well, sir, you didn't ask for the cancellation department. And I responded, well, you didn't train your phone reps very well because I told them I was thinking of switching and they didn't put me over to retention. Like, why is it my fault that I didn't ask for the right department? And then he starts going into, well, you know, it's you're not even getting gigabit up and down. I go, are you looking at my speed test right now? Can you see what I'm running? Can you see what I'm downloading? No, you can't. So go ahead and cancel. It was just an interesting interaction that they put the blame on me for not asking for the retention department when I called the first time. So,
you know, it's funny you mentioned that because I think I've heard from people that Spectrum has a similar thing where if you ask for a specific department, that they will, you know, put you over and try to, you know, hook you up with some special deals. And like, at least from what I've heard, the Spectrum folks are a little bit better at that. You know, hinting at where you're supposed to call, like ask for in order to get the special deals. But it's just funny you mentioned that.
It's just, it was kind of insulting that the guy starts blaming me for not asking for the right department and then insulting the new setup I got, saying it's not even the real speeds. And again, they don't even run fiber right to the house. They run fiber to a backbone and then run coax into the house. So their speeds, their price couldn't match anything Verizon has. Now, if Verizon decides that they want to start raising the price on us, we have an option to go back. And that's always the biggest thing. And we're really lucky in this area because I know a good amount of America doesn't have the capability to switch between providers like that.
True. And I've heard that T-Mobile, and we have our phone service through T-Mobile, which at times can be very frustrating, but overall they have provided good service for us. I think they are providing home internet now. So I might actually look into that. If anyone listening has any feedback on that, I'd love to hear it. But yeah, I mean, I think more and more companies are starting to get into the game or become available because people just, that's one of the things that, you know, what is it? Was it Benjamin Franklin's, like, you can expect a few things in life or death, taxes, and then, you know, shitty internet from the one provider that you have in your town. So, but there are more options available, and hopefully T-Mobile has a better option because, I mean, we have options here, but it just sucks that neither option is particularly great. And they seem very unwilling to budge on the price. I mean, we're paying $70 a month now, which split between two people isn't bad, and we're also getting HBO Max bundled into it. So, like, before we were paying $50, and with the price bump, I'm like, okay, we're getting HBO Max. I can live with this. We're getting a subscription with it, but it's just down here, options aren't great, and they're not willing to budge on price as much. So, but I'm glad you guys got a good deal.
Yeah, no, actually, because
you know what it is, you get that good Italian That voice, you got that you got that bravado, so they know what's up. They don't want to mess around.
We because we also have Verizon through our cell service, we get a bunch of discounts, and so we're paying $70 a month for gig up and gig down, which is astounding. It does everything we need with V streaming and working from home. It's reliable and dependable. I can download and be in Discord with the guys as it's going on. So it's been the best thing that came to our area.
Yeah, it's really nice when I don't have a spike up or spike down, especially when I'm streaming. And I don't have to worry about dropping that I see a lot of people with. And I will see there's a couple people that I follow that I stream that are like middies, and Midwest, that will drop a stream because their internet, so the wind blew too hard and their internet went out. So
usually I have
nice.
to kick everybody off, like, hey, all right, put your phones on data, get out, with the kids, get out, you guys been playing all weekend, get off the internet, and just to make sure that they're not eating up too much bandwidth, and I can actually get through a show without tapping out too early and having to deal with, because it's my week to edit. So if I got to sit here and deal with all these me cutting out, it'd just be easier on myself not to do that. So let's be preventative here and not have to worry about that. I do have to. Ben, a quick question. Sorry, yield. I apologize.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like the Wicked Witch in water. I just threw your government name on you, and you're gonna melt. Did you update the trophies by chance?
Yes.
Oh, excellent. Most excellent. Now, V and Matt, we don't have your roles on there. Do you guys have those handy? I know you're proud of your no platinums, but do you have the other numbers?
0!
Yeah. Or can you access them?
I got mine up here on my phone.
I have 0!
And so proud of it. All right.
I am so proud.
Folks, wouldn't you know, amidst all the excitement from this week's episode, recording with the Gurnellis, recording with Yield, I forgot to introduce our very special guest, which, let's be honest, they're more like co-hosts at this point. There's something more than guests, but our trophy champions, our trophy masters, the first of which, of course, is our buddy Sid over across the pond. So, as he has promised, he is back with Sophie's Trophies, and we've got a brand new episode for you right now. So, for the next 9 minutes, Sid, our ears are all yours. Take it away, my friend.
Hello again, my friends. It's Sid with another Sophie's Trophies. This week, we're going to do a game that I bought on a whim because it was on sale. And that game is the House of the Dead remake. So, as the name implies, it is a remake of House of the Dead. It's not really been improved that much, to be honest. It's just souped up textures and things like that. I think there might be a couple of new modes in there. The game itself, guys, is incredibly short. It is 4 levels, and if you go through them quickly, you can probably do this game in about 20 minutes. But I will say, it's fun, and it's good for me and Toby, my little lad, to play together, just blast through a load of zombies. But the thing that surprises me, guys, there are 41 trophies in this game. Now, like I say, it's 4 levels, 20 minutes, so you can get the trophies quite quickly. So, should we go through it? I think we should. And the first one we have is the House of the Dead. And can you imagine what that is? No? I'll tell you. It is the Platinum, guys. Then we have Agent. Finish the campaign at any difficulty. So there is normal, hard, and arcade. And then we have Bloodbath. Finish the campaign at arcade difficulty. Then we have Chariot. Beat the Chariot at the end of the first chapter. Then we have Hanged Man. Beat the Hanged Man at the end of the second chapter. And then we have Hermit. Beat the Hermit at the end of the third chapter. And Magician. Beat the Magician at the end of the fourth chapter. So then we have Normal Ending. Finish the game with a final score below 62,000 and the last score digit not equal to 0. So basically what that means is finish the game with a low score and either a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or something. You know, as long as it's not 0 at the end of your score. Then we have True Ending. Complete the game with a total score of over 62,000. So again, You do need to play the Horde mode of the game, which is basically just the same game but with lots more zombies, and also change the scoring to modern. And what that basically means, guys, is that when you shoot things, you can keep shooting after they've fallen down, so i.e. when they're dead, and each shot you hit them with will give you more points. And then we have the third ending. Finish the game with a final score below 62,000 and the last score digit equal 20. So even though that's the same as the normal ending, the trophy description, what it doesn't tell you is that is when you save all the scientists. So then you get the true ending. And then you have Ender, discover all 3 endings. Then we have Hero, save a scientist. So as you go through the game, you'll see scientists, they're getting attacked. You have to shoot the zombie that's attacking them to save them. Then we have Saviour, save all the scientists through the campaign. So when you're playing the game, guys, you can pick whichever level you want to play. So just keep playing that level and save the scientists. I'm not too sure whether it has to be a full game run through. I don't think it does, because if you are doing a full game run through and you shoot a scientist, you can in fact reload to start at the beginning of the chapter. Murderer, kill a scientist. Psychopath, kill all the scientists at any chapter. Traveller, discover all paths available in the game. Now this one, guys, you can open new paths by saving scientists at certain junctures. So if you're going to go the left route, the scientist will die, but if you save the scientist, you will go the right route. So it's a case of working your way through the game to figure out what you've missed. Collector, collect all single items in a campaign. That is self-explanatory. Collect all creature entries. So to do this, it's whenever you've killed something, guys. So you kill a zombie, you'll collect the entrance on the zombie. You have to go through all of the routes and everything to be able to kill every type of. Collect all additional weapons available. Self-explanatory again there, guys. Collect your first additional weapon. So you will find these going through the game, or you will get given them by certain characters. So yeah, not too bad. Headhunter, blow off 666 heads. Again, self-explanatory, will take you a while. Sadist, devastate the opponent's body as much as possible. I know that sounds dodgy, but it's not. It is involving zombies and guns. So what we need to do, guys, is once a zombie is on the floor, you need to do this in the modern scoring, is keep shooting that zombie. Triple kill, kill 3 enemies in a row. Pentakill, kill 5 enemies in a row. So again, modern scoring, guys, there is a little meter at the top, and as you kill zombies, it will fill up. It only goes up to 5, so it's not too difficult. So just keep killing them, and you will get it. Butcher, kill 666 enemies. And then we have, guys, kill 5 enemies at the same time, so you need to blow 5 enemies up. That is probably the easiest way to do it. Then we have Dance Macabre, nail down an opponent's head with the pitter. So when you've got the pitter weapon, guys, shoot a zombie and nail down his head to the floor. Swifty, shoot down 50 enemy projectiles. Easy one this, guys. Some zombies throw axes at you or barrels or whatever, just shoot them. Not this time, finish a single chapter without taking any damage. Invincible, finish the whole campaign without taking any damage. Agent G, finish the full campaign with your friend, so have somebody join you and play through the whole game. Partner, finish any chapter with the help of player 2. So that's much like that one. If you're going for Agent G, just do that one. And then Reinforcements, let player 2 join the game while in the middle of a campaign. So easy enough. You can do this if you've got 2 controllers, just let your second self join. And then we have lose all credits and die. So another really self-explanatory one there. Who let the dogs out? Knock back the Ken fees. And then Ringo. Knock up an enemy as high as possible. No ammo wasted. Finish a chapter without reloading with bullets in the chapter. And then we have don't destroy any glass panels in chapter 2. So just be careful in chapter 2 of where you're shooting. Then we have kill all the rats in the game. So this is one where you do need to use yourself use your roots carefully and find out where all the rats are. And then unwinged, shoot down all the hanged man's devilions. So these are little creatures that are flying around the boss. They come at you before the actual boss attacks, so they will come at you one or two at a time, so make sure you shoot them all. So that is it, guys. That is House of the Dead Remake. Okay, but there is one more surprise. There are cheats in this game, guys. You earn them by earning trophies. So at 11 trophies, you can unlock the infinite bullets, which will help you do the chapter without reloading. And then the other cheats, I can't remember how many trophies. I think the next one is 24, maybe, or 19 to 24, something like that. I know that sounds really vague, but I can't remember. And the cheats available are things like infinite bullets, infinite continues, which I don't really get, but actually that might help, to be honest. All weapons unlocked, which will automatically net you the unlocking of those 2 trophies. And there is another one, I can't remember what it is, guys, I do apologise, but the last one is God Mode, which you unlock at 40 trophies. Now, as there are only 41 trophies in the game, then you've got the Platinum anyway, so that's a bit late for that one. Don't see the point of that, but there you go. So that's it, guys. That's enough blathering on from me. That was House of the Dead Remake. It was worth it. It was $9.99. You know, good little game, good to play through. And yeah, so there we go. Hope you're all okay. I will talk to you again soon. Keep getting those trophies. Bye.
Let's get into our updated trophy count. Tricky is level 831 with a total trophy count of 25,159. Good lord, Tricky, how many? That's a lot. 672 total platinums. I am level 474 with a total trophy count of 8,543 and a platinum count of 141 in 140 games. For the 3rd week in a row, I earned a platinum trophy. Yield, sir?
I was doing my best to earn 3 this week to try to catch you, but I ran out of time because we had to record.
I mean, catch me. You're ahead of me in platinums.
Yeah, but you've earned 7 this year, and I've earned like 2 or 3. I've earned 3, so... Well,
that's 7. I mean, that 7 just hurt a little bit of asterisk, not because of any, like, ne'er-do-well things I've been doing, but... Like, I've earned 7 platinum trophies this year already, which I owned 14 in all of last year. So I'm at a pretty good pace here this year to get a lot of things done in the platinum trophy department. But one of my platinum trophies I earned like the day after New Year's or on New Year's Day, which was Guardians of the Galaxy.
We don't care what you earn, spam boy. Anyway, so I am a level 490.
Was Tricky? Is Tricky? Oh, is he sitting here in the chat talking? He's at work. Is he in the chat talking?
I'll say this real quick. Tricky just put a note in the chat that said he earned over 300, but when most of those are trash, not something to be proud of.
That's what we say.
Oh yeah, Tricky's at work. He's got a cigarette. I'm sure he's playing some PlayStation right now. Just putting off all the duties on me and you.
No, he's the Reaper crew right now. He is not playing anything. He's just being a fly on the wall for this podcast.
Apparently a stinky fly on the wall because there's nobody else in that office. The Reaper crew is a Sam Crow reference, right? Sons of Anarchy. Yes, it is. Okay. Sorry, Yield, the Tricky and I jumped in there and bamboozled you out of your clean platinum or your trophy reading.
I'm a level 490 with a trophy count of 9260 and a platinum count of 165. I got 2 this week. Tried to get a 3rd, but I ran out of time to get it this week. I'll get it next week.
It'll be on next week. Sid is a level 830 with a total trophy count of 22,942 and a platinum count of 716. Still beating Tricky for all that talk about Tricky and all the hundreds of platinum trophies he's earned this year already. Sid's still beating him, so good job, Sid. Matt, sir, your trophy count.
I am level 217, total trophy count of 1257. And I'm thinking real hard about that Spider-Man Remastered Platinum, but then I, dismiss that thought as intrusive.
So there's no game that could make you go and get Like, what about like an older game? Like, do you have any favorites from the original PlayStation to the PS2, or like, they'd be like, hey, a remake with trophies finally?
I think the closest game is Spider-Man because I just have so much fun swinging around New York. But like any older game, I can't think of any older game that I've tried to complete as much as possible other than maybe Grand Theft Auto 3. But looking at, like, anytime a game adds in 100 collectibles hidden throughout the city, no, I ain't got time for that.
Fair enough. Veronica, your trophy count?
I have no idea.
Fair enough. But the new platinums...
I think I'm like at 80-something level 1 0 platinums.
Well, that's the important part there, is the no platinums.
Just nah.
Right.
I've been starting Hogwarts, but nothing like, yay, here are trophies for that.
I got it here. Hold on. She's level 84 with 273 trophies.
She was right about the level. She was right there. She pretty close, if not dead on. So, well, that one
something 80.
You did mention that you started to play Hogwarts, and that kind of segues nice into what we've been playing. So, Veronica, how has your experience with Hogwarts been so far, and how far into the game are you?
I am not that far into the game. I started it, I think I put maybe about 3 or 4 hours in my first sitting. Really been enjoying that, but it's kind of like one of those things where if I'm going to play it, I'm going to be playing it for an extended period of time. And unfortunately, real life kind of catches up with me. And I just don't have the time to like sit down, because that's the game that I want to play 6, 7, 8 hours in a sitting. And I just haven't had that with real life school, things like that. But other than that, I've been doing my Disney Dreamlight Valley and my House Flipper, because I bought the DLCs for House Flipper, which is the Pets DLC, the Luxury, and the Garden. And I'm making a Barbie house that Matt has called an abomination.
Too much pink, Matt?
Oh, and she added purple to it.
Oh, I changed that. It's now a pink living room with a pink couch and a pink kitchen.
At least it's uniform.
It is.
I will say, so it was because it was multiple colors. You don't want like a bunch of colors in there all mixed together, Matt. Is that what it is?
I just think pink and purple together do not make for something pleasing to the eye.
It sure does pop, though.
It does.
Yeah, my eye's right out of my skull.
And yet I'm the one that has the pink computer desk, the pink mouse, the pink keyboard, the pink microphone, the pink headphones, the pink monitor mounts, pink camera mount.
Nobody said I don't support your pink habit.
I'm definitely not seeing as much pink behind Matt and where Matt is.
No, just Gundams and Metallica pops.
We'll be waiting for those pink Metallica pops, the pink versions of the Metallica pops to come out. I'm sure people will buy them, and it would make Pop even more money. But Veronica, we got to ask the tough questions. I'm assuming that you've made it to the sorting process in Hogwarts.
Oh yes, 100%.
Now, was your true to life? Does the Hogwarts Legacy sorting match your true to life sorting?
It did not, but I got to choose. Like, they're like, do you want to go here? And I'm like, no, I do not. They sorted me into Ravenclaw, but I am a Hufflepuff.
I am also a Hufflepuff in real life. Ashley's been playing the game quite well. She's played a bit of it, and so I've been watching her a little bit, but
right.
I haven't started at all. And given the trouble that Dupes had with the collectibles, I may not.
Right.
He did get the platinum though eventually because they patched it. So, but I don't know if I'm going to play it, but I definitely am glad to hear that other people are really, really enjoying it. And especially, we had you guys on last for a very tough conversation about J.K. Rowling and, fans, how they feel about supporting the franchise, and with her involved. Not she wasn't involved with the game, but just her being kind of the one who created all this, and just everyone still wanting to support Harry Potter. But it's it's been as we'll find out in a later story. I think it was one of the top downloads on the PSN for February, as you might expect. So it's good to see that the game is successful and people are enjoying it, because
it's really interesting. It is, and we'll get, like I said, we'll get into it with the top downloads, but there have been a few hiccups with streamers and stuff with it, but
I mean, people coming into their streams and being very abrasive.
It actually has caused a few streamers to actually quit the platform because of the griefing that they're getting.
Are we talking about like Twitch?
On Twitch, yeah.
Okay.
So they'll be streaming it, and it'll just be a consistent the griefing not only on stream but outside of stream, in like DMs, in whispers on their social media platforms and things like that, that have caused them to basically go not worth my time anymore. If I can't play what I enjoy because somebody's on a bandwagon of not allowing me to enjoy something, then there's no point of me being on here anymore.
Yeah. I think we can all understand that. You want to enjoy your game experience and kind of escapism and enjoy an escape from the real world, and then you're trying to just enjoy your experience at Hogwarts, and discovering all the areas of the surrounding areas and just explore. And here somebody is coming in just like making everything very, very unenjoyable. And yeah, I can totally understand wanting to step away from that, and certainly people's reactions to it and people's reactions playing the game.
It's tough. And it's one of the things that Matt and I talked about. It's like, do you want to get it on the PC or do you want to get it on the PlayStation? It was very much a thing, and I said I most likely will get it on the PlayStation because my stream is, and it's something that we've talked about, is very open. We accept everybody, LGBTQ, positive, the whole nine. I have a lot of followers that are of that lifestyle. And it was, well, do you want the backlash that you could possibly get from it by streaming it, or do you just want to enjoy the game? And it really did come down to, well, I just want to play the game to play the game. I don't have to stream it. I have all these other games. I've got Disney. I've got House Flippers. I've got Dungeon Dice. It's not that I have to, it has to be a specific game that I'm streaming, but I don't have to stream every game that I'm playing either.
Yeah, no, and I mean, even when there's some games that I've because I do enjoy streaming. I haven't done it in a while, but there's some games that I'm playing. It's just like, what? I want to be able to pause and walk away from the controller. I want to,
yeah.
There's other things I want to do, or, maybe I want to, if I need a little extra help, I want to look up, how to do this. And I don't necessarily want to be on stream doing that. So, there are just some games that you may just want to experience and be able to do on your own, or, take your own time playing them and not have to worry about, always playing it and constantly talking over, some kind of, play track. So I get that. Anything else you've been playing this week, Veronica? And, since you do a lot of streaming, are there any particular games you're streaming this week, and any particular nights that you're streaming?
So I did come with, recently I have set a schedule for my streaming. So it's Mondays. I call it Magical Mondays. So my Disney, I'm thinking of going back to Kingdom Hearts 3, trying to finish that. All of those types of fantasy type games. I will be picking up streaming again on Tuesdays And Tuesdays and Thursdays, I actually do makers and crafters. So last week on Thursday, I did a Lego build. So I built a Lego set that Matt had gotten for me as a present. And then I will be doing a diamond art on Tuesday and Thursday this week. Fridays are Freaky Fridays. I will be doing horror games, most likely Phasmophobia, on Fridays. And then Saturdays are my, fix-it-up Saturdays. So that's going to be like my crafting games, my house flippers and everything. So that's what I've been streaming.
Yeah, it's nice to have a schedule because, I mean, you can't always do it because,
Right.
like you said earlier, life gets in the way. But, if you are a streamer and you want to grow your audience or just
Right.
have a consistent audience, you it definitely helps you to have a schedule. So
Yeah. So this week, Monday will be Disney. We no longer have D&D on Mondays, so I will be able to start a little bit earlier, which means that I can get the last character. So Monday will be Disney, and then I will be doing a diamond art of Stitch on Tuesday and Thursday. So if anybody would like to come in, it is Gamer Veranza on Twitch.
most excellent. Matt, sir, what have you been playing?
Just this weekend, I finished up my Dead Space remake run. Just played it on normal difficulty, nothing special. But man, did they do that game justice. It was pretty much everything I expected it to be and additional stuff that I wanted. So I was very happy to close that out. This year, I've made it a personal goal to go back and beat every Zelda game that I haven't beaten before. So I've moved on to Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, and boy, that game it's a game. So it's taken some time and effort to get through that one. As I mentioned earlier, I'm also playing Spider-Man Remastered. I've already played and beaten Spider-Man on the PS4, but after I had bought Miles Morales on the PS5 when it came out, I took advantage of that $20 deal to get Spider-Man Remastered. So I'm playing through it again, and my goal is to also get through all the DLC, which I did not do on the PS4. I'm pretty much close to the end of the game. I'm at like about 80% completed on the campaign, so it's just a couple more things. And to allude to earlier, I'm taking my time with this one. Like, I am going through and completing each district and all the available tasks as they come up, as opposed to waiting till later in the game. So I'm probably not going to get the platinum, but I'm going to thoroughly get through everything that game has to offer. Have yet again started Sleeping Dogs, a game that I really, really like, and I just have found very little motivation to complete on my previous playthroughs, and I think this one's finally sticking because I'm just playing it on my Steam Deck maybe an hour, half hour before bed each night.
All right.
I also
Go ahead, sir. Sorry.
No, you had a question?
Oh no, I was going to say. I mean, you can get through what you're playing. I just had a specific question for you about upcoming DLC for a particular game. But
okay. I also took advantage of Mario Day, March 10th. Nintendo put on sale Mario Party Superstars alongside of other Mario-centric games. But I picked that up for $40. My friends and I play that online, and it is just a blast to play. And finally, we started playing this game called Ultimate Chicken Horse.
I've heard about that.
And it is a hysterical time because you get up to 4 people. And for those of you who don't know, it's kind of like a cutesy little 2D game where you all pick animals to represent you. And you pick a level to play. And you start at the start point and you have to reach the flag. And the flag could be anywhere on the level, you know. Like one's called a farm, so you have to jump across the field where there's a thresher, or there's called the rooftops where you start on one building and you have to get to the other. And each round consists of each person choosing like a random element to put on the board. And it could be something helpful like a set of stairs, or it could be something like a trap. So that way the goal is to ensure you can get to the end, but none of your opponents can. And sometimes you fall victim to your own traps. It's a lot of fun when you're playing with your friends. It's a good time, and the laughs that can be had are plenty, because you might fall victim to your own trap because you forgot about it, but somebody else put like a giant swinging pendulum in your way. It was $6 on Steam. It's well worth the time. There's still some glitches, but it's a lot of fun when you get a group of people like your friends together to play.
Now, Matt, my question for you centers around Elden Ring, because DLC has been announced. I don't think we have a release date yet, but they have announced the DLC is coming for Elden Ring. And I was curious, are you going to go back and play Elden Ring yet again to prep for the DLC?
So I'm actually in New Game Plus 1, so I've already beaten the game and I've started again. I've also started a new character on a fresh run. And then my friends and I have done the Seamless Co-op mod, which is a completely different save file compared to the original game. I don't think that's going to be compatible with the DLC when it comes out, at least not immediately. But I will be going back and getting through most of the game so I can accomplish that. But to your point from the recent article I read, is FromSoft said we're going to see Armored Core 6 before we see Elden Ring DLC. So I'm kind of hoping we get Armored Core late this year, and it's probably going to be the Elden Ring DLC next year, if I'm guessing things right.
Does it surprise you that potentially 2 years out from the release of that game is when they're going to release DLC? I mean, people will come back to it, I think, but don't you think that, and to me it feels like what Horizon's doing with Burning Skies, like around, like, it's a little more than a year, but wouldn't a year be more appropriate than 2 years? 2 years to me just seems like a long time.
I thought it was somebody on this show who said it, but I thought they said that FromSoft technically does that, where they'll release something far enough from the game, because it seems to me like they don't necessarily start or really hash out the DLC until their first game is already out. And that seems to be a good business model for them. And arguably it draws less ire from the gaming community, because a lot of these people who make these, there's companies out there that make games with the idea of pumping out DLC the second it's released. And a lot of people go, I haven't had time to actually get through the game. So what you're looking at is a team that started DLC after the release because they wanted to get the game out, smash any bugs that came in. And now they probably had a small team starting on it during the game's final days leading up to their release. But now they can focus 100% on the DLC and make it the high quality product we deserve. Would it be fun if it was out a year after the game? Yeah, but I'll take it 2 years out. I think any more than that, you start losing a lot of people's attention. Yeah.
I also think it's going to be massive, because if it's taken this long to do it, it's going to be a huge DLC.
I would agree.
All right, is that all you've been playing, sir?
That is correct. On to you, gentlemen.
Yield, sir.
So I've been playing a little bit of everything. I've been playing some Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag multiplayer. Did some boosting with JT, Tricky, and Nitro. I played some Jack 3 after we were done recording last week. That was Platinum number 1. Played some We Were Here Forever with the Brain 76. Rocket League with Alex and Nitro. Did some Deep Rock Galactic, pushing myself towards the Platinum in that. I got my Driller to its next promotion. So that means all my dwarves are 2 levels away from hitting gold, and that would be the Platinum. Some World of Warship Legends. Some Immortals Phoenix Rising, playing through the last DLC, The Last God. Or Lost Gods, not Last God. Lost Gods, which, like I said before, it's just, they did different development within Ubisoft did the DLC, because the first one is just like the main game, and then the second and the third one are totally different than the one before, and the third one just totally takes you out of the gameplay aspect of it, but I'm going to push through, because I'm going to finish it. Played some Church in the Darkness last night. That was platinum number 2. And the one I just about got the platinum for before we recorded was Zombie Army 4 Dead War.
I do have a question, Yield.
Yeah.
We Were Here Forever. Now, V and I played the original We Were Here. I don't think we played We Were Here 2.
No.
I did play We Were Here together with a friend of mine. How would you rate the puzzles on Forever compared to the 2 I have played?
Well, each version gets harder than the one before it. So, this game is by far the biggest game, per se. The previous ones, my buddy and I don't know. See, the first one wasn't very a long game at all. It took us, a night to platinum it. Second one was about 2 playthroughs, or 2 nights of playing to platinum it. Third one was 2, maybe a little finish up on a third. This one we've already played 2 or 3 times, and we're not even halfway through the game yet.
Oh, wow.
The puzzles are more difficult. I mean, they've got some ones that are like, oh, I remember a version of this in one of the other games, but it's more in depth. There's definitely not like all the other puzzles since you've played a couple of them. You know how somewhere in the room or what you're doing, eventually there is something that you'll see that kind of starts connecting the dots. Oh, got to start here to do this, to do that, blah, blah, blah. We've run across a couple of puzzles where they don't do that. And you're sitting there going, okay, I think I know where we got to start. And you start trial and error until something finally clicks. And, oh, this is what we got to do. So, it's been fun.
No, this is my question. I found like in Together, some of the puzzles were a little obtuse, but eventually we got through it. My buddy and I got through it in a day, but some of them were, I had fun, and some I really just wanted to beat my head against the wall.
What was the one? I call it the marble puzzle, where they're different colors. And you got to place them on your board to draw a line or something. And you're both doing that. So the only reason my buddy and I passed that so quickly was because my buddy's like, wait, I've played a phone game kind of based on something like this. So it's like, let's try this. So we did, and we started getting through the puzzle. Otherwise, we'd have probably had to have looked it up because we were like, I'm sitting there like, I have no idea what in the hell they want me to do.
The worst part was while we were playing, we had crashes, and when we'd reload the game, it swapped our positions in the puzzle solving.
Oh,
so
that would
we had
suck.
Previously no knowledge, and one person was looking at something that the other had no idea of, and now we're looking at it going, oh shit, I don't know what this is. I have no relevancy to this. I don't know what you did before this. So that was a technical issue we had, but there were just some puzzles, and I think it was, I think it was the alchemy station that was really causing us a headache because something we missed just was not adding up on the cards or the pages we had to look at.
I'm not going to lie. There have been definitely Together, my buddy or myself, we would sit there and we'd be like, all right. And we literally would get out a piece of paper and we would start writing stuff down because it was like, I can't remember what I'm supposed to do. So
exactly what we
did.
Step
1, this, step 2, that. And there have been a couple times where we've been stuck and I'm like, you know what? Here, I took a picture of my TV screen. This is what I'm looking at.
We had the benefit of playing on Discord, so we just streamed to each other, which I guess is cheating, but, we didn't care.
Well, we try not to. We really, really don't. But if we finally get to a point of, okay, I don't know where we're going here. This is what I'm looking at. Does this click anything for you? But we've only done that a couple of times. But I really enjoy the game. I didn't think I would. And I saw the trailer, thought, what the hey. And so my buddy's really into puzzle games, and it's been really fun. I like the whole dynamic of there's a story behind it, and you're just solving the puzzles to advance the story. You know, it's not a generic story. It's actually kind of an in-depth story.
So do you remember on your first playthrough whether you sacrificed yourself or did you sacrifice your teammate?
Which one? On the first we were here?
Yeah.
I think I sacrificed myself. I can't remember. I can't remember which side I was on at that time.
She stepped away, but she ran right out of the gate. I guess we didn't know. I can't totally blame her, but she ran right out the gate, and I realized, oh, okay, that's how it is.
But, yeah. And then I think it's together is the first time that you can actually get both of you to get out. So that was...
Yeah, I never went to that one, but I may pick it up just to complete the trio there if I ever want to go on to Forever.
It's, like I said, it's good. Well worth it. But I always tell everybody, make sure you have... Unless you like playing with randos, I would just say definitely make sure you have a buddy or someone that you're going to be like, all right, we're going to play these games together.
I mean, look, playing with randos is sometimes it's necessary. It's fine, I guess. I say that begrudgingly, but who prefers playing with randos?
Well, in a game like this, you really need to be able to. I feel it's better that you have somebody you can communicate with, because they'll give you some funky designs, you know, and you're sitting there like, how can I describe this so the other guy will know what it's like, you know? And so if you've ever seen our stream, sometimes we'll be also describing something. I forget what I was describing. And I was trying to keep it PG. My buddy's like, oh, does it look like a penis with a hat on it? And I'm like, yeah, that. So like the rest of the time we're doing this puzzle, we're like, the penis with the hat. Yeah. And so.
Now, here's the thing. I did not know that only one person could be.
And I give you credit. I don't think it was something that either of us really expected when we played through. But just know that you're the one that survived and I stayed behind. That's fine.
Well, I will die immediately in the zombie apocalypse.
So what you're saying is that the next time it happens, you're going to be like,
I will
peace
die,
out!
and
I'm
gone. So when we play it together again,
marriage is all about compromise.
It is. What is mine, and what's yours is mine. It's fine.
Yield, sir, is that all you've been playing this week? I mean, you had a smorgasbord, so...
I did have a smorgasbord. That looks like that's everything I've played this week, at least according to the PlayStation.
All right, well, I, focused my time more on one game. You know, like Yield said, I did play some Rocket League with him and Nitro on Thursday. We kicked some ass as always, but my smorgasbord was in one game, and that's Bugsnax. I got the Platinum Trophy in that, finished off the DLC, which, if you play the game via PlayStation Plus Extra, the DLC comes bundled into the game. So it's not like you get access to the game and then have to buy the DLC afterwards. No. It just all comes together.
Well, so, the DLC was free anyway.
Oh, okay, well, there. Okay, now that you say that, I do remember that was that I read that somewhere. But yeah, I mean, you said that you were looking forward to kind of my thoughts on the game.
I was, because like I said, you listened to the show. I trashed it in the beginning, and then the next 2 episodes, I kept rescinding my trashing until I got to the point of that game was way better than it needed to be. I just want to know what your thought was.
I mean, with it, like a game, like I said, all the the grumpuses, like all like the little NPCs and your character, like everyone. Well, you never really see your character, but everyone you interact with on the island, they all look like McDonald's Happy Meal toys, and even like all the different creatures, the Bugsnax themselves, they look like they could be like. You remember when in like the 80s or something, maybe the early 90s, when McDonald's had like the Happy Meal toys that were like the dinosaurs that would change into like they were originally like pieces of food, like they were like a burger or a fry or a cup, and then you could change them into dinosaurs.
I think I still have one floating around somewhere.
Yeah, you go look them up. You can find them on eBay. They're really cool. But like all like the Bugsnax kind of look like that. Like the things they did, like that was one of my favorite things is to see the different combinations of the food and insect that they could smash together to make a cutesy little animal. And I was never disappointed. Now, they did kind of like use like the same kind of general concept and then do like different colors. Like for some of the citrus ones, they had like an orange peel bug, and then they had like a yellow one for like a lemon, a red one for a grapefruit, and then like a green one for a lime. So they did like do a little copy and pasting here and there, but overall very creative with the Bugsnax. And just seeing like these animals, like there was like a giant pizza moth that had big googly eyes. All of them had big googly eyes. There was like a buffalo wing that was actually could fly in the air, and
was on fire.
Yeah, it was on fire. You had like a jalapeno scorpion. Let's see, I'm trying to think. There was like a spider that was made of the body was a meatball, and then you had the spaghetti for the legs and stuff. I think my favorite one and a bug snack of all of them was the Clobsteroni, which I don't know if you played the Isle Big Snacks DLC Yield, but it's basically a giant lobster made out of pasta. I love that thing.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, so a lot of interesting little bug snacks, and very cute game. And like I said, it just kind of goes to show you that how eclectic of taste we can have. Because 2 games ago, I was playing Dead Space and trying to survive on the Ishimura, going through on the Impossible run. And a few games later, I'm playing Bugsnax, which is like complete opposite style of game of that. So with the DLC it added quite a bit because they added a mail system. I feel like it's a short platinum, but when you add in the DLC and all like over 100 tasks you have to do, not have to do, but can do for the Grumpuses, that each one, if you complete like you have like a little mailbox in front of your house that you could decorate with items you get from doing special requests by the Grumpuses. They'll in your mailbox they'll show up and like you'll have a letter and they'll say, "Hey, can you do this for me?" And that was added in as part of the DLC, which was a nice way to add some content to the game. But overall, I enjoyed it. Like I said, at times it just feels kind of like so simplistic and just so goofy that it doesn't really feel like a PS5 game. But I mean, in the end, like it's just kind of. I was thinking about it's like how would I rate this game as far as the score goes, and it's like. You can't really like rate everything as like, well, it's not an Elden Ring or not its Horizon. It just kind of has to be rated on its own and what it is. And for what this game was and what they tried to do, like it was just a really enjoyable game. And it was a nice little, diversion from a lot of the games I've been playing over the last year. I mean, like I've been playing huge games like Assassin's Creed Origins and Horizon Forbidden West and God of War Ragnarok. And, you get the superhero games thrown in there with Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and Guardians of the Galaxy. But this was a nice game that I just enjoyed. It's not, some massive game that has a lot of blood and gore. Just it's a cutesy little cartoon game with all these cute characters that you like and Yield. I don't know, like I didn't expect much from the story, but
neither did I.
The twist at the end was I thought pretty creative about when you find out what the bug. Because I mean, this entire time you feel bad about it's like Bugsnax. Like there's even a character who keeps the Bugsnax as pets, his family, and they don't like to see other people eat the Bugsnax. It's like you kind of at times you feel kind of bad. It's like I'm feeding this living thing to another thing, and obviously in that regard, it's like this one character Gramble would be kind of like the vegan, where the vegan doesn't eat animal products or products that come from animals, and you're kind of feeling bad. And then there's a twist at the end which you find out what the Bugsnax actually are, and you're like, oh, okay, so yeah. But overall, I really enjoyed that game, and I kind of I try not to, in every game, I try not to compare it to other games because that game is supposed to be what that game is. And it's not just supposed to be compared to everything else. So I feel like maybe going in and saying it doesn't feel like a PS5 game is unfair because it kind of like, well, I'm comparing it to other PS5 games I played. But I mean, that game was like really small, really short load times. Like the fast travel worked phenomenally. So, I mean, the game, as far as I can tell, had no bugs. Like I didn't come across any issues with the game, so it was just a really enjoyable, smooth experience with really cute characters, and kept my attention for a week. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Oh, it had a lot of bugs.
Well, I know that they patched it because they had issues with some of the trophies.
Oh, you did not get that.
You right over his head, Matt. I got it.
And here,
thank you.
You know what? Most people don't get me like that, or it takes every once in a good while someone will catch me like that. But well done, sir. But okay, I was getting ready to ask you, Matt or Veronica, did either one of you play Bugsnax?
I watched him play it.
Yeah, I played it. I never beat it. I got stuck on some of the areas and I gave up. I'll go back to it eventually.
Yeah, well, I mean, in some cases, like you have to, like Yield said, I can't remember what its name is, but the buffalo wing that flies, like it's on fire. and if you try to catch it with one of your traps, it'll set the trap on fire and you can't catch it. So some of the creatures are deep freeze and they will freeze your trap and destroy it, and others are on fire and they will set it on fire and destroy it. So you have to rely on some Bugsnax to like lead them into each other to get them to, knock out or, take away the effects of the elemental effects. And in some ways that can be kind of frustrating just because it doesn't always seem like the Bugsnax act the way they should. It doesn't always go to plan. I'll say that. But overall, like despite all the bugs, I had a really enjoyable time with that game. So, and
it's a really great game.
Yeah, lots of spider bugs though. So lots of spider-based Bugsnax. So Tricky can never play it.
Tricky will not play that game.
Yeah, even if they're cutesy little, meatball spiders.
There was a Pokemon in my Violet and Scarlet that I was playing that sort of looked like a spider, and he was like, "Peace bounce." Like, I'm out.
I don't get it, but you know what? Tricky's not a duck anyway, so I guess I don't need to get it. I just need to respect it.
Yep.
All right. Well, I did want to say I haven't. We actually had part of the reason I haven't played anything over the weekend. I beat Bugsnax and finished out the DLC on Friday, but part of the reason I haven't played anything this weekend is because we had the Louisville Arcade Expo on Saturday. Yesterday for us recording, and on Saturday for those of you who were listening to the show on Wednesday when it comes out. But basically just a big convention where they have vendors who come in and sell like retro video games and like crafts and stuff. They also have like speedrunners and competitions. They have like a ton of arcade machines that they bring in. Like I was playing the Captain America arcade game, and they just got a ton of different stuff. They had lots of pinball machines, a brand new, this company called, was it Spooky Pinball? They created 3 brand new Scooby-Doo pinball machines and were selling them for like $9,000, $11,000, $10,000.
Oh,
so, and all three machines sold, or at least 2 of the 3 had sold by the time we left on Saturday. So people were willing to buy them. They were really nice cabinets. Ashley asked me if it's like, would you ever want to buy a pinball machine? It's like, no, I'd probably rather not. I'd rather have skee-ball. I'd rather have a skee-ball machine in my house because to me, skee-ball is a little bit more skill based, whereas pinball is very much luck and where the ball goes. It's definitely well, that gets expensive, Yield. I can't afford an $11,000 pinball machine and then go out and buy a skee ball setup. But some of the cool things from the convention, so you pay a fee. It was $35 for each adult, and then you basically go in and all the cabinets are free. Like you don't put any money into them, you just play them as much as you want, which is really cool. But the voice of NBA Jam, Tim Kitzrow, he was kind of like the celebrity guest there, and he was like, he had a microphone, and he was doing all those different things. He was like saying all his catchphrases, like boom shakalaka, and he was doing like, you bring the peanut butter and I'll bring the jam. Hopefully that's not trademarked so he doesn't sue me, but it was really cool that he was the voice of not only like NBA Jam, but a lot of the other Midway games like Blitz and Hits and Slugfest and all that stuff. And so just hearing him, like seeing him in person and hearing his voice like yell out while I was playing a pinball machine was pretty awesome. But I bought 2 retro games from there, and this guy was selling like, he had specialized cases. You all remember like the Disney VHS cases, like the bubbly like one, like plastic ones?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, like this guy had created these kind of cases for all his like N64, Super Nintendo games. So I probably would have spent, I only ended up spending $70 with him, but I probably, if I didn't already own like Super Castlevania 4 and Turtles in Time and Punch Out and Mega Man X, I probably would have bought more of them. I probably would have spent like $600 on these. But I was able to get a copy of Mega Man 4 for the NES that I used to own it, but for some reason I got rid of it long ago. I don't know why I was so stupid, but I was able to get another copy of that, and I got a copy of Turok, or no, not Turok, what am I thinking? Killer Instinct, the black cartridge for the Super Nintendo, which actually playing a little bit up to date. So yeah,
Ooh,
I found some good
black cartridge.
Yeah, and they had a copy of Sunset Riders, which if I hadn't had bought Sunset Riders for the Super Nintendo on eBay a few months back, I definitely would have bought it here. But
now, did you see a copy of Tetris?
I did not.
Okay.
There were a lot of Super Nintendo and 64 and like Nintendo games there. Like there was a huge. They had one of the vendors had boxed copies, and like the boxes were in plastic cases. They had like Banjo-Tooie, Banjo-Kazooie, like a lot of Diddy Kong Racing. I was definitely thinking about buying some of those, but in the end, I just walked away with Mega Man 4 and Killer Instinct. But yeah, those shows, Like the retro games come out there, and usually my focus for retro games is like 60. It's like Nintendo, 64, Super Nintendo, and NES. That's kind of where my retro focus is. But yeah, that's had a good time, and that's kind of the reason why I didn't get to play a ton you really didn't get to play any this weekend. I was not playing arcade games, so it's totally kosher. So, all right, y'all.
Hey, you were still playing games.
Yes, very much so. It definitely fits the bill. You guys ready to get into the topics?
Sure.
Let's do it.
All right. So the first one is one that I think that Yield will be able to heavily comment upon. It's about Knockout City, and unfortunately, Knockout City is going to be shutting down in June. I think June 6th is the date. But the devs definitely want to go out with a bang, and just kind of a article here from GameSpot talking about what went wrong with Knockout City. The headline reads, Knockout City dev explains what went wrong. This article is written by Eddie Makic, and the original story comes from gi.biz, but the first place I saw it was over here on GameSpot. So, quote, Knockout City, the dodge brawl game from Villain Studios, is coming to a close this June after launching in May 2021. The game didn't have the long life its developer was hoping for, but what went wrong? Co-founder Guha Bala told GI.biz that Knockout City hit the ground running with marketing support from publisher EA, solid sales, and a surge in players thanks to its inclusion in Xbox Game Pass. However, a mid-price premium business model was pretty uncommon for a multiplayer-only title like Knockout City, with many similar titles adopting a free-to-play model instead, Bala said. Knockout City was priced at $20 before it later changed business models. Quote, so the competitive environment changed for pricing. It was solid fairly well, but not well enough as mid-price premium title to continue to support an additional flow of content, the developer explained. In response to these challenges, Knockout City switched to a free-to-play model and ditched EA as a publisher, with Villain taking on self-publisher. But the shift to a free-to-play model didn't create the kind of buzz and revenue that Villain hoped for. When we released the free-to-play version, we had a couple different challenges. Some of it was macro and actually can be generalized to all the different games that are shutting down right now, Bala said. Indeed, as GameSpot producer reported previously, the live service bubble may be bursting with titles like Knockout City impacted. Bala said the economic factors like inflation were really hitting hard around the world, especially in East Asia, leaving people spending less money on non-essentials. In the US, Bala observed other macroeconomic trends that negatively impacted Knockout City. Quote, in some places, saving rates had been higher during the pandemic, and so people were eating into their savings rather than contracting spending, even though inflation was dropping income. We saw that around the U.S. economy and a few others, Bala said. But at the end of the day, Knockout City's business model simply didn't work out, as Velen wasn't able to convince players that the game was worth spending time and money on compared to the competition. Quote, the cosmetics-led games that we know of today are generally successful. Many of them do have loot boxes. Most mobile titles on a global basis outside of Western markets also have loot boxes. It's something we weren't very fond of, and it'll present a lot of challenges in an emerging sense from a regulatory standpoint as well. But you can't have your cake and eat it too, Bala said. And we have to figure out the right economic balance to be able to do something new and provide something that's of value of real players, and then have an economic system that works. Despite Knockout City not working out how Velen might have wanted, Bala said he's hopeful to make a sequel someday. Of course, that's not a promise, the developer added, but it is a hope. For now, Bala said the team is hoping to send Knockout City with a bang and not a whimper with Season 9. So, Yield, I believe, well, I mean, I could be wrong because I'm not sure if Veronica or Matt played this, but you played this, you got the platinum, you spent, you and Riley and Homer and everybody got together, and I think Nitro as well, to play this game. Shortly after its release. So, what's your overall view of the game and your thoughts on, why it just didn't work?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of it hurt because they gave, it was on Game Pass. I got it because it was free for Plus. And, I had no desire to play it until I went to a buddy's house and played it at his house and was like, oh, wow, this is pretty good. So, I think we got it free for Plus. Maybe I did pay for it. But either way, once we got the platinum, that was kind of it. It was fun to play, but it was fun to play because we had a group of 3 of us regularly. Me, the Brain, and Nitro. And so it was more fun playing that way than playing with 3 randos. So I think maybe that had something to do with it because, they were dropping some cool stuff
Yeah, they had they had a Turtles content where you like Rocksteady and Bebop were involved.
Yeah, where you could buy stuff. And had I still been playing at that time, I may have picked up Rocksteady and Bebop just to have them, to have that skin, on my system. But
I do appreciate how Bala said that they didn't like loot boxes, and I appreciate when developers are conscious of that, not only of being wary of just having loot boxes, but also like the regulatory impact that we may be seeing more and more of, not outside of the EU. But I guess my main question to you is, so Rocket League, I'm not sure if you have the platinum or not in that game.
I do.
But it's a game you continue to come back to season after season. We just started season 10 of the Rocket Pass, and we just played on Thursday. What kept you coming back to Rocket League as opposed to Knockout City, where you just stopped out of the platinum? Does it just come down to the gameplay is not as fun?
I think that could be what it is that I really enjoy Rocket League. The stuff that they put into it is kind of like, oh, that's kind of cool. I think I would like to have that. And since we've got a consistent group that plays at least once a week, that if you're going to play once a week, I feel that you might as well be in the pass and get what you're going to get while playing. Whereas, like, I don't think they were pumping out the because I don't think they're pumping out the content like they were until they went free to play. They were sprinkling in some stuff, but yeah, we got the platinum in, I don't know, a year tops. It may have been 6 months. And, I think the brain played a few times after that, but it felt like once you got out of the groove of playing regularly, you couldn't just pick it back up and be like, all right, I'm going to go whoop some foes. And you were just getting killed. Like, I jumped in one night with them, and I expected a little bit of rust. We got slapped. And it was just like, okay, I'm done.
All right. Veronica, I'm not sure if either you or Matt had played Knockout City, but what is your, feel free to comment on Knockout City if you all did, but what is your view on, live service games? And like, for me, like, I play Rocket League, so I have my live service game, and I feel like I never started playing Knockout City because it's like, well, I have my live service game. I don't really know how many I can support on top of playing other games. Do you guys like playing live service games, and do you feel like you all could support, more than one at a time?
I haven't played this. I'm not sure if Matt has played it with the guys or anything like that, but I have a very specific game, and I talked about this on a previous episode, where it's a mobile game. And that is it's live service, that it's very much, I can go in, I play daily, and that's what I do. And I only have one. And I feel like that is what I do. Like, my Shop Titans is my game. And that's the game that I go to. What I find interesting with this, and reading through the article and all, is I've never liked a game that is multiplayer only. I want a game that I can play by myself if I want to, in a sense. Like, Shop Titans, I'm playing by myself, but I have a guild with me. And that's fine. But if I have to go into a game and I have to play with, like, pugs or anything like that, that's not enjoyable for me. The only time I play multiplayer games is Gloomhaven with the guys, and that's my D&D-esque game. So,
well, ignorant question here, because I played the board game. Did they make that into a video game?
Correct. It's on Steam. We used to play it on Tabletop Simulator, and then they actually came out with the actual game, because we have the board game and the game on Steam. And every so often, it's just kind of like one of those things where 4 of us get together and we're just like, I want to play Gloomhaven. But because we have the saves, because we know where we're at, because we know what we're doing, we don't have to play for 3, 4, 5 months, and we can just hop back into it and figure out where we're going. But something like a Rocket League or Knockout City or something like that, it never, for me, it was never I have to play these types of games, or this is a game that I want to play.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those games where, Rocket League, where it's so much better to play with people you know and people you have headsets and communicate with and you're in party chat. Because playing with randoms, I mean, I enjoy the base gameplay of that game, but when you throw in random people when you play with, it's just, it's not fun.
It can be infuriating.
It just sucks all the fun out of it.
I hate people in general.
Yes,
Amen.
excellent.
So,
good job.
Like, it's just like one of those things where if I can't communicate with you, or you don't understand my sense of humor or my sarcasm, and you're going to take something completely out of context that I say just because it's like, I'm going to be frustrated, and like, I will sing random stupid stuff all the time when I'm even playing my single player games. When I'm with random people, they're just going to be like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like my favorite thing to yell at a character that does something wrong in a game is, God fucking damn it, Dave. Like that's what I do.
You're out of your element, Donnie. You're out of your element.
You're out of your element. Like, not my cup of tea.
Yeah, there's definitely a safe space with playing with people you know. I get it. Matt, sir, what do you think about live service? Is the bubble bursting? Are there only so many live service games that a gaming community can support?
Yeah, because there's only so much pie out there that these game companies can eat up. And it's kind of sad because you can go out there and make another generic shooter and it be successful. But somebody comes along and tries to invent something genuinely different. I liken it to what happened to Rumbleverse. And I didn't play Knockout City. Dodgeball wasn't something that interested me, but Rumbleverse seemed like a really neat idea. Battle Royale wrestling bash 'em up. And I played it, and it was decent, but some technical issues on the PC kept me from really being engaged. And here they are barely a year later, and Rumbleverse is shutting down. And you come up with a dodgeball game concept, and it sounds good on paper, but then getting people engaged kind of it wasn't as capable as they initially planned. They said it right in the article. I liken that to Fall Guys, because Fall Guys originally came out as a pay-for-play. And they got bought up by Epic, and they went free to play, and now it's monetized all to hell. I haven't played Fall Guys in months. And it's sad because, like I said, companies that are genuinely trying to come out with something different to grab your attention are fighting such an uphill battle against the Fortnites, against the PUBGs, against the Call of Duties, Warzones. They're just not able to get the same advertisement out there to get that crew. And the people that it engages, it's great, but like you got your platinum or got out of it what you wanted, and then that's it. There's really, if you're not pumping out content fast enough, then that's kind of it. And that's kind of one of the things that kept Fall Guys alive, is they were actually putting stuff out pretty regularly. Look at what happened to Marvel's Avengers. They were promising all this stuff, and it kept getting delayed and kept getting delayed. And then ultimately they just gave up on it. So it's not an infinite number. It's a large number of people that you can get engaged in your world, but you better hit hard and hit fast on that first release.
And, he talked about Bala talked about all the economic factors, but I didn't ever hear anything about, well, maybe our game just wasn't as fun to play as other live service games. I don't know. To me, it seems like pricing maybe wasn't the issue. It was more the fact that there wasn't enough either content to have people coming back, or the game itself just wasn't as fun to play and couldn't keep people to come back. Because Rocket League, they do Rocket Passes where they're not introducing new content. They're introducing a stream of new content every 3 months. So for 3 months, you get the same content, and then after that 3 months, they'll do another 3 months. But yeah, it's free to play, but again, the gameplay is what keeps people coming back. And I just kind of wonder if maybe Knockout City didn't have that hook in people because the gameplay just wasn't as fun. I don't know. Yield, is that a fair thing to say?
I mean, I probably think it was probably more the content. I mean, because once you go free to play, if your gameplay is not enjoyable, then you got to put out the content to make them play. I mean, you Rocket League every 3 months, but here's everything that you can learn or earn through your pass. You just have to put in the time. Warships is something that all I do now is really work on my bureau projects. I don't do their campaigns that are, about every month and a half they do a campaign. So I kind of got burnt out in doing that because for me to earn that, I had to put way too much time into the game. And since I had already got the platinum, unless a ship really seems cool, I just I pop in, I do my bureau project, or I'll pop in and I'll play when they're giving out the doubloons. So, but I think with Knockout, it was probably more content. I enjoyed the gameplay while I was playing it. I thought it was fun. I thought the different types of dodgeballs that they offered were neat. You had a football that was more of your sniper type ball. You had a cage ball that you could throw somebody and catch the opposing team in a ball, and then pick it up and throw them at their teammate to hurt them. So I like I said, I enjoyed it for when I played it, but once I was done with the game, there was just nothing to draw me back in.
And, maybe it was just when you do a live service game, there's a certain kind of sweet spot or a certain amount of time for new content when you have to give people new content. I mean, Fortnite seems like they're constantly adding new content. So, I mean, to Matt's point, if you're constantly throwing new stuff at people, you're more likely to have them come back probably. So, next up, going to talk about some of the announcements or at least some of the news coming out of the Capcom Showcase from March 2023. Just kind of updating everybody on the games and they got going on. First saw the wrap up on IGN, but just go through some of the news. And after get done and sharing everything, you guys we can comment on individual things or whatever we want to talk about. But so the biggest news coming out of the showcase was Resident Evil 4 now has a demo available. It's called the Chainsaw Demo. Mega Man Battle Network Legacy, they added some new content, and pre-orders are available now, and the collection comes out on April 14th. Street Fighter 6, they revealed the release date of June 2nd with pre-orders available, and it's going to be available on PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X, S, and Steam. Funnily enough, I don't see... It's on the PS4, but it's not on the Xbox One, so I have to wonder if Sony had some kind of deal with Capcom for last gen as to why it's on our last gen system, but not theirs. Monster Hunter Sunbreak, which previously released for the Switch, is coming out on April 28th for the Series X and S, Xbox One, Windows, PS5, and PS4. And then lastly, Exoprimal is having an open beta March 17th through the 19th. They've got crossplay matchmaking with XS, Windows, PS5, PS4, and Steam. And the beta participants will receive a special Iobis Metal Charm. And just to give you a little more information on Exoprimal, since I haven't watched a lot of trailers on this or read a whole lot about it, but it sounds kind of like a cool concept. I'm taking this from Destructoid.com in an article written by Eric Van Allen. Exoprimal unleashes the Dino Horde on July 14th. Quote, get ready to deal with some dinos this summer. Capcom has locked Exoprimal for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC on July 14th. It's also coming to Game Pass. This co-op shooter pits exosuit-adorned soldiers against huge waves of dinosaurs, mixing the horde system you usually see for zombies or Gears Locust with prehistoric terrors. Using different loadouts like assault, tank, and support, the players keep the world from being overtaken by long-gone apex predators. So, alongside the co-op play is a competitive element. Exoprimal pits 2 teams of 5 against each other to complete objectives before the other. Story segments will be doled out through playing the Dino Survival mode, as well as various rewards and experiences to juice up your rigs. And as I understand, this game will also have battle passes. So, that's all the biggest news coming out of Capcom Showcase for this month. What do y'all think? Anything that you're all particularly interested in? Yield?
No, unfortunately. There's just nothing out of the Capcom thing that's just grabbing me.
Man, of all the weeks for Joe not to be here when we talk big Capcom news. Matt, sir, anything there kind of catch your attention?
So, yeah, I mean, I'll probably be picking up the Resident Evil 4 remake when it drops later this month. Probably gonna keep an eye on Exoprimal. My thing is, I played a game called Second Extinction, which is kind of like that. You get dropped onto an island to search for materials, and it's infested by mutant dinosaurs. But this has enough of a different look to it that I might give it a shake. I don't know much about it other than the story beat wise, other than what I've seen via the trailers. Always will promote Monster Hunter. The Sunbreak expansion, which has been on the Switch since last July, is now coming to the other consoles. So if you haven't, give that a try. The Resident Evil CGI animated movies coming out. Those always seem to be good. I have a friend who's really into Street Fighter, and he's excited and been hearing good things about 6. I never played Mega Man Battle Network, but this might be a good opportunity for me to jump in. So yeah, I'm very pleased with the presentation that they've given.
Well, and honestly, like Exoprimal, like Capcom is one of those companies. I'm like, Sony, buy them, buy Capcom. Like that's where I want Sony to spend any of their acquisition monies on Capcom. But I mean, I love them as a company. So simply because of my respect for Capcom, I will probably give Exoprimal more of a chance than most other games like that. Veronica, what about you? Anything from Capcom coming out that you are excited about?
Absolutely not.
Not into the Mega Man or the fighting games or the jump scares of Resident Evil?
Nope, I will watch Matt play Resident Evil every so often. But I don't... Growing up, I was more of a Silent Hill person than Resident Evil.
Okay, so you don't mind the scary games?
I don't mind them. It will depend. Like, I would rather... I have very specific scary games that I like. So... But I like Matt playing the Resident Evils and everything like that. I go more on the Fatal Frame, Silent Hill aspects.
Like, where there's typically less gunplay.
Less gunplay, more puzzles. I mean, Fatal Frame is gunplay, but instead of a gun, you have a camera. So, and you can upgrade the camera. But I like scary games with puzzle aspects to it.
Makes sense to me. Yeah. No, like Matt, I'm excited for Resident Evil 4. I started my Resident Evil career with 5, so I have never played Resident Evil 4, and the remake seems like the perfect opportunity to jump in, although I hope that they have made... I don't know, I heard that the Resident Evil has some very annoying moments where it's basically, what do they call them? The president's daughter, Escort mission. Yeah. Hopefully they've made that a little less frustrating in Resident Evil 4. I don't know. In the remake. Matt, did you play through those original segments?
So, yeah, I never beat Resident Evil 4 when it originally came out, but I did get through some of those escort sections, and it is as bad as they say. But from what I've been reading, I think they said they revamped some of those, that Ashley isn't going to be as helpless as before. So I'm hopeful for the changes they made to the game.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it all comes down to AI, with just the AI being smarter. Because I don't mind, like, having an AI partner, like, Elena in Uncharted, the first Uncharted game. She was, a great AI partner because she could handle her own business and could even kill some enemies. But if you just have stupid AI and you've got to protect another character, there's no better way to kill a game like that than, or at least those sections, than to have that. But I've always heard that Resident Evil 4 is arguably the greatest Resident Evil game. So I can't not play it, right?
Yeah, no, especially if you started with 5, because you didn't really get to experience what we experienced growing up through the series and what Resident Evil 4 did for the series as a whole. Everything you see in today's Resident Evils has an element of what 4 gave us. So going back, experiencing it with fresh eyes, I think would be an exciting thing, and I look forward to talking with you about it.
Oh, well, if that means you're coming back on the show, then I will definitely be excited for that. So Resident Evil 4 apparently has something hidden in the demo, and it's a secret ultra hard mode. This article comes from Eurogamer.net and is written by Liv Non. Resident Evil 4 Remake demo has a secret ultra hard mode. Quote, many people are being offered an extreme difficulty mode called Mad Chainsaw Mode after beating the demo and starting it again. The demo will tell you the following. Mad Chainsaw Mode will be applied only to this single playthrough. You must wait until Mad Chainsaw Mode is triggered again for subsequent attempts. This mode is specific to the demo, is not included in the final game. How to trigger Mad Chainsaw Mode is unknown, and most likely seems like every time you start up a new playthrough, there's a random chance to be offered, so I decided to boot up the demo and try it for myself. After starting and quitting the demo about 15 times, I was offered Mad Chainsaw Mode, so of course I accept the challenge. There's a video below. If you go to Eurogamer and go to the article, you can watch. Quote, yeah, they weren't kidding when they said mad enemies are a lot stronger and enemy placements have changed. There are no checkpoints, so once you die, that's demo over and you have to restart from the main menu. Apparently, Dr. Salvador, titular Chainsaw Man, will also be on fire once you get to the village, but I obviously didn't get to see that for myself. Although Mad Chainsaw Mode isn't in the final game, I imagine it'll be a similar experience with the game's highest difficulty mode. I hope we get something like Resident Evil 3 Remake's Inferno level of difficulty. And, yeah, that's the article. So, Matt, are you going to try to tackle Mad Chainsaw Mode before the game officially comes out?
I'm downloading it to my console right now.
Wait, was that what... Did that convince you to get the demo?
It did, because I generally don't have time for demos and whatnot. And I like to go in with things fresh eyes. But Jesus Christ,
well, then I
hilarious.
ruined the flaming Doctor. What was his name? Dr. Salvador moment.
Oh, but now I'm looking forward to it.
That's probably actually what sold you on it. But
Fire!
Veronica's like, hurry up and get done with this podcast so I can watch him fight a flaming Dr. Salvador.
It's anything. If there's a game that has fire or a flamethrower, there. And it's how I get him involved in certain games that he's kind of like, I was like, you can make a character that has a flamethrower. Okay, I'll see you in 5 minutes. Like, that's what it is.
Maybe that's why Team Fortress 2 has been so successful for so long.
And that's the first game we played together as a couple.
Over 700 hours.
Well, I'm sure that even more than 700 hours has been spent on the top downloads from the PlayStation Store in February 2023. Now, this will cover both the US and Canada will be in one list, and then the EU. And they've also got the top PS4 games for February as well. So, just a little note on Hogwarts Legacy from this article. Once again, on GameSpot.com, written by Eddie Makic. Sony has published a list of the most downloaded PlayStation Store games for February 2023, and it's a little surprised to see Hogwarts Legacy was the top game on the PlayStation 5. The game sold 12 million copies in its first 2 weeks and drove $850 million in revenue, making it one of the biggest game launches in recent titles. Other top-performing PS5 titles for February include NBA 2K23, GTA 5, once again, Madden NFL 23, FIFA 23, and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. All right, so let's get to the list. We'll start with the PS. Oh man, we've got even more lists down here. We've got top free-to-play games. We've got top PSVR games. This list is a lot bigger than I thought it was. All right. So top PS5 games for February 2023. This is the US and Canada. Number 1, Hogwarts Legacy. Number 2, NBA 2K23. 3, GTA 5. 4, Madden NFL 23. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 at 5. The Last of Us Part 1 at 6. FIFA 2023 at 7. 8 is Dead Space, so Dead Space falls a few there, but good to see it's still in the top downloads. 9 is Atomic Heart, and 10 is Wild Hearts. Over in the EU, number 1, Hogwarts Legacy. 2 is GTA 5. 3 is Football Manager 2023. 4 is FIFA 23. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 at 5. 6, NBA 2K23. 7 is The Last of Us Part 1. 8, Gran Turismo 7. 9, Atomic Heart. And number 10, nice to see that It Takes Two is still on the list. Top PS4 games for February 2023, the US and Canada. Last of Us Part 2 is at number 1. 2 is Minecraft. 3 is NBA 2K23. 4 is Red Dead Redemption 2. 5, Madden NFL 23. 6, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. 7 is GTA 5, because really, how many more people can buy that on the PS4? 8 is The Forest. 9 is The Last of Us Remastered. And 10 is FIFA 23. Over in the EU, it's The Last of Us Part 2. Number 2 is Minecraft. 3 is The Forest. 4 is FIFA 23. 5 is Red Dead Redemption 2. 6 is GTA 5. 7 is The Last of Us Remastered. 8 is NBA 2K23. 9 is Mafia 2 Remaster. And 10 is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. And they've also included the top list of the PSVR 2, but we'll get some feedback from you all. If you want us to read that off on the next time it comes around for March in April, we'll do it. But I've just read a lot of games to you, so we'll go ahead and get some commentary on that. Any surprises from the list, Veronica, or any games you're happy to see on there?
Not really. I mean, if you look at the EU, like a lot of people are like Football Manager. I mean,
yeah, that definitely wasn't on the US Canada list.
No, that's definitely not on the US Canada. But I mean, I get it. And I think especially with The Last of Us TV show on HBO has really kind of propelled the part 1 into sales again. Hogwarts, I mean, with so much going on with that game, there's nothing that's really that surprising at all.
Yeah, I mean, GTA, Call of Duty, and a lot of sports games, all that makes sense. I mean,
that makes complete sense.
I don't think any of us really play sports games, but let's be honest, there's big money to be made with those because there are a lot of people that like sports.
I mean, when I worked at GameStop, it was like creepy, like how well that sold. And it was just like one of those things where people would fight for being the first person in line. And this is back in freaking the early 2000s.
Did you ever have to call the cops on anybody for fighting in a GameStop?
Yes.
Or games? Really?
Yeah. My store itself had been held up twice. And we actually had to call the police and a district manager because people were fighting about who was in line first.
Adults. Just act like adults.
No, that's no. Apparently that's not allowed. You're not allowed to act like adults. You're just a bunch of babies.
As Donnie would say, crybaby gamers.
Crybaby gamers. But I mean, it's the Hogwarts is going to be, you're looking at a complete different grouping of people. It's not just your sports fans, and it's not just your shooter fans, and it's not just your storytelling fans. You're bringing people in that probably didn't play games before, and they're finally like, oh, what's this? This is a story-driven game about Hogwarts. Okay, let's try this. So I think that was a good one. And like I said, with The Last of Us, with the TV show coming out, your new sports games coming out, and then it's a remaster for Dead Space. So of course you're going to have the re-downloads. Matt played it, So nothing that seems very...
Matt, did you were you aware of the sea shanty in Dead Space?
I heard of it. I never got to it myself.
Look it up on YouTube, because it is on YouTube. It's enjoyable. So if you're not going to go back through the game and try to find it and the secret to unlock it, go watch it on YouTube. It's pretty enjoyable.
Wasn't it at the sports arena or wherever the? No, I think that was something. Yeah, I'll look it up on
Oh, no,
YouTube.
yeah, the Zero G basketball. No, it was in, you can unlock it in the break room. I can't remember where exactly the break room is, but it's you got to do a secret code. Like, there's a code on the floor where you have to either stomp or, like, swing a punch, and whatever sequence you do unlocks the sea shanty, and a video plays on the wall in there. So it's pretty cool. It's worth watching. But yeah, Hogwarts Legacy is a number one in both the EU, both regions, EU and US Canada. So Matt, any particular thoughts on the lists here?
I think I'm the same boat as you. Is how the hell is GTA 5 still freaking on this list? Like, are they counting just like revenue at this point? Because yeah, I could see that. Who is out there still buying copies of Grand Theft Auto 5 that doesn't already have it?
Well, so here's something. I was wondering about this. So, let's say you delete it because you made room for something else. Then you come back and you re-download it. Does that count as a download?
I'm not entirely sure. That's a good question, but I would...
Because for, just like Matt said, for it to still be up there and as high as it is, I have a hard time believing that they're still selling that many new copies.
I think you're right, because the first line here is Sony has published the lists of most downloaded, not sold, not purchased, downloaded. So I think you're onto something, Yield.
It makes me wonder.
Yeah, I think for the PS4 version, that definitely makes sense. Well, Tricky in the chat says only counts first download. I mean, the PS4, it's incredible how game that... So, and Tricky says Sony rep confirmed that with me. Okay, thanks, Tricky. But I think that, I mean, for the PS4, it's ridiculous that there's still people buying that game, although you may have people that were, for the longest time, were holding on to it to a PS3 and then eventually graduated to a PS4 when the price got low enough. So maybe there's still more than enough people of those people who are just maybe now adopting the PS4 or just haven't had the PS4 for as long as we have. The PS5 makes more sense because the GTA obviously is newer on the PS5 than the PS4. So as more people have the PS5 available to them to purchase, and you have an entirely new base to sell to, it makes sense that GTA would still sell on the PS5 pretty well. Because I mean, I guess people, even if they bought it on the PS4, they'd be like, well, the better version's on the PS5, so or at least the better looking version's on the PS5, so of course I'm going to play that one. But still, I mean, I think every time GT comes up on a top sales list, we're like, really? Still? Yield, sir, any more insight you can impart upon these lists, or have you said what you need to say?
I said what I needed to say. I agree with I agree that The Last of Us is probably more downloaded again because of the show. And I still can't believe GTA is still... I don't know who you're selling GTA 5 to, who hasn't already bought it.
Yeah, well, and to Veronica's point, The Last of Us Part 2 was, I think, the top download for the PS4 in one of the regions, so obviously the show is probably, with an announcement that Season 2 is coming out and it's going to cover the second game, they're probably also, that's also compelling people to go play that and buy that. Unfortunately, though, it doesn't seem like enough people were compelled to go buy Forspoken. This article comes via Destructoid.com, is written by Eric Van Allen. Square Enix says Forspoken sales have been lackluster. Quote, Square Enix has released an outline of its financial results briefing from February 3rd, in which it says Forspoken sales have been lackluster. The action RPG arrived just a few months ago, but the trend so far seems to not lived up with Square Enix's expectations. The publisher also drew attention to its reception in reviews, which President Yosuke Matsuda characterized as challenging. Reviews of Forspoken, which we released on January 24th, 2023, have been challenging. However, the game has also received positive feedback on its action features, including its parkour and combat capabilities, so it has yielded results that will lead to improvement of our development capabilities of other games in the future. That said, its sales have been lackluster, and while the performance of new titles with February and March release dates will be the ultimate determinant, we see considerable risk to our fiscal year 2023/3 earnings. Additionally, Square Enix noted a year-over-year dip in the HD games net sales segment The publisher attributed this partly to a challenging bar set by the previous year's releases, but also because many of the new small and mid-sized titles Square Enix launched did not perform as well as expected. So, and Yield will make the joke every now and again about Square Enix and their expectations. I don't know what it is with them, if they just kind of forecast too much, or if, they expected more out of this game than Luminous Productions delivered. Luminous Productions being the developer. But more so than most developers or most publishers, Square Enix comes out and says, yeah, this game was a disappointment. And maybe they're just the only ones being honest about it, but, Guardians of the Galaxy was one, and the Tomb Raider reboot series was another, or it was a specific game in the Tomb Raider series.
No, it was the reboot that they said was a financial failure. And
then we have, that pretty harsh words there, but we'll have another one where they said that it's, they didn't meet expectations, and even some of the other small and mid-sized games. Is this an issue with Square Enix's forecasting? Like, are they? Because I've heard people make comments about Square Enix, and a lot of people, maybe not a lot of people, but people say that someone needs to buy Square Enix to fix the mess that's Square Enix. I mean, Ubisoft has their own mess. But I'm sure that if Sony were going to buy Square Enix, it was rumored all of last year that they were going to buy Square Enix, maybe Square Enix would get some of this figured out. But Yield, what's up with Square Enix and constantly being disappointed by the sales of their games?
Well, I think it's their forecasting. As for Forspoken, I was never intrigued by it from the trailers. So, I can't really speak to that game. There are other games I have played, some of them. I bought Guardians of the Galaxy. I haven't played it yet, but that looked like a fun game.
It's a really good game.
I always go back to the Tomb Raider reboot. Tricky and I played it. Absolutely loved it. Thought it was a great... The only thing that failed in that game was the multiplayer, but I could see that they were doing some interesting things. It was just buggy, and they needed to fix it. But as for the game itself and the story, it was phenomenal. And I think the game did 10 or 9 million, which I think is pretty good. Now, maybe because it was such a big budget game, maybe it didn't hit the marks. But to come out and go, yeah, this game was a failure. There are some games that would kill itself for, have 9 or 10 million in sales. So I just think they're shooting for Pluto and getting to the moon or something. I don't know, but it's become a trend lately that a lot of their big games, it didn't meet financial success what we were looking for. And it's like, what were you looking for? Seemed to get a positive reaction. People who played it like it. It seemed like it sold well. Yeah, well, it didn't do that good.
And the thing about Forspoken was Sony always, they would not let us forget that this game was coming out on PS5. And so, it's not like it didn't get a push. Even, the platform holder like Sony, they were all like, hey, don't forget Forspoken, don't forget Forspoken. And yeah, reviews definitely, I don't care what you say, there are some people that will go out and buy a game regardless because they want to play it, but there are certain games, if it's not a sequel or if it's, not a game that, the Dead Space remake that people were really, really looking forward to, something like a Saints Row, where people may be sitting on the fence with it, and Forspoken was a new IP, so people weren't, invested in it necessarily. There was just going on the excitement created by trailers and by Square Enix and by Sony, and, really may have just, their final decision may have been made by the critical reviews, but the bad press can kill you, especially when it comes to, middling reviews, so that definitely didn't help. But, Yield, to your point about Tomb Raider, I think if you're selling outside of GTA and Red Dead Redemption, and Mario and Zelda, I think that if you, put out a game and expect more than 10 million sales, or 10 million sales at least a disappointment, that you're doing something wrong. Matt, sir, your thoughts on Square Enix and kind of this trend within them to kind of be maybe over forecast is the word I'm looking for. But yeah, Square Enix, what's going on?
So, saying as somebody who tried the Forspoken demo and was immediately turned off by the gameplay mechanics, it's, I applaud them for putting out a demo, but there also is an art to putting out a demo and enticing people to play your games. It just seems like they're firing on all cylinders when they have these great IPs, but the execution is severely lacking. Look at Marvel's Avengers. I played that game for a couple hours and turned it off. It didn't interest me. And the saying as a guy who's a Marvel fan, to what Yield was saying, it seems like there's an issue with they've had so much success with other games in the past that their projections seem to be quite off. And these people always come out saying, oh, well, it didn't meet our goals or we're expecting more. Well, how much were you expecting for a brand new IP? Maybe temper your expectations a little bit. But no, they got big budgets to make and shareholders to pay off. It's disappointing because then they're going to turn around and go, well, nobody wants new IPs anymore. No, we're fiending for new IPs. But if your gameplay is a problem and people are annoyed by your main character as they were in Forspoken, and maybe it's the vocal minority, but I've heard some big game reviewers and other podcasts where they're saying that the main actor for the game just came off as a whiny crybaby. People are saying the same thing for Atomic Heart, where the main actor comes off kind of douchey. So it's difficult to say that Square needs to be brought in or that Square needs to rein things in when I don't know what their projections are. It's just sad that a new IP comes out, doesn't perform up to expectations, and now suddenly they got to look at axing the studio.
Yeah, and maybe because, we'll talk about that more in a second, but maybe they expected or trusted Luminous Studio Productions more than they should have, and maybe, based on what they were shown, the game looked a lot better, so maybe they based their forecast on that. And honestly, a demo is like a trailer. It's not the entire, it's a vertical slice that you should be using the best parts of your game or to sell your game. So how you make a demo that turns you off immediately, I don't understand. But Veronica, your thoughts on this troubling situation in Square Enix?
I believe, I go with Yield on this, where it's a forecasting issue. Honestly, in my head, when I hear Square Enix, I think Final Fantasy. And when you think about that franchise, and you think about those video games, if you're forecasting off of the success of such a long-standing series, or you want a outcome for what everybody's been saying, a new IP to be on par with a long-standing IP, there's something wrong with your forecasting department. Because you cannot scale new information. And this is coming from my data analytical mind. When you're trying to forecast something, you're always taking a percentage on something new versus something old. Right? So if you have something that is already set in stone, if you already are dealing with an idea or an analytics problem where it comes from this is the data that we already have, you are scaling up. How much percentage should we go up? However, if you're dealing with something that's brand new or data that is brand new, you're like, okay, well, based on our old sales, they are like this, but this is a brand new product. We need to dumb it down, in a sense, go into a negative almost. And what it seems like with a lot of Square's new IPs is that they want to do these IPs do this well, so our new IPs should do this well. Honey, your IPs from the get-go did not do well in the beginning. You need to be more realistic when it comes to understanding numbers for new information.
Well, and you hit on something there where, traditionally, and this is a problem now for Square Enix, I think, that they are thought of more as a company like for their long-standing brands like Final Fantasy, rather than being someone who pushes out new IP. And this next news we're going to talk about definitely doesn't help that. This comes from Engadget.com. It was written by Chris Holt. The headline reads, Forspoken studio Luminous Productions will be folded into Square Enix. Luminous Productions, the studio behind Forspoken, will soon close shop. Its team will be folded back into the parent company Square Enix and tasked with working on other projects. The publisher set up the studio, which included developers behind Final Fantasy XV, in 2018 to work on new franchises. But Forspoken was its only game as a standalone studio. In a statement, Luminous said that its team will move back directly under Square Enix's umbrella starting on May 1st. In the meantime, the developers will continue to work on an update to address Forspoken's performance issues, as well as an expansion that's slated to arrive this summer. When we established Luminous Productions in 2018, our vision was to make AAA games that fuse technology and artistry to discover completely new play experiences, Luminous wrote on Twitter. Having the chance to do that has been a dream come true. In a statement of its own, Square Enix said it's absorbing the Luminous team as part of the company's efforts to further bolster the competitive prowess of the group's development studios, a goal set forth under its current medium-term business strategy. It had Luminous is equipped not only with AAA title development capabilities, but also with technical expertise in areas such as game engine development. Combining the two entities will further enhance the group's ability to develop HD games. This is hardly the first time that Square Enix has taken swift action against its studios after projects failed to meet expectations. Last year, it sold off 3 Western studios, Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, and Square Enix Montreal, as well as franchises like Tomb Raider and Deus Ex to Embracer Group for a relatively small pie of $300 million. The move came after the likes of Marvel's Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy, which didn't sell well enough despite strong reviews, didn't sell as well as Square Enix had hoped. So, just an example of what if a game doesn't hit financially, or doesn't do well enough, or the publisher doesn't think it does well enough, it can sink an entire studio.
And the issue also comes into play, and not even looking from a gameplay aspect on it, or a gaming, like in the gaming aspect, let's go into like a business aspect, right? You have businesses that want companies or their subsidiaries to do new things, to try new things, to understand what is new for people to play, right? I feel when it comes to Square Enix, and when it comes to some of the bigger companies, they want a nod, yes, follow the tried and true formula. And even though on the outside, they're just like, well, we're trying new things, and we're trying this, and we're trying that. The history shows in the communication style versus the execution style is that even though you are stating that you want these new IPs, you want these new technologies, you want to have these other studios do something, as soon as they fall off of the formula that you're used to or that you have done in the past, you're nixing the studio. So it makes me wonder what's happening on the back end, like behind the scenes, when it comes to shareholders or the upper management or anything along those ends. Are you truly wanting to expand on new IPs? Or are you just saying that to save face?
Yeah, Matt, I'll go to you with that, a continuation of that, because they spun the studio off and in 2018 and to create new games, and they've already killed them off after one game. Like, what's with that?
Everybody knows it costs money to keep the studio running, and what is interesting about this environment is how many times you see a creator of a beloved franchise, they make a game, their studio succeeds beyond wildest expectations, they get bought up by one of the big developers or publishers, they leave to go start a smaller studio so they could do what their artist mind wants them to do, create and innovate. And then they make a Callisto Protocol. It's not everything can be a banger. And in my professional life, I've been hounded and penalized for success more times than not. You keep doing so well and they keep pushing your goal lines further and further that you, at some point, you're going to fail. And you can't take that first failure as it's always going to fail, therefore we need to do something about this. But when you purposefully, as a larger publisher, go off and make a studio with the purpose of creating a new IP, and that fails, and your first reaction is, well, we got to liquidate this. We got to pull you back in. There's some politics at play there, because you don't know. Maybe somebody was like, hey, listen, we're going to give you your own studio. You're going to make your own thing. We're not going to interfere with this. And then the sales don't come, or it doesn't meet your expectations compared to budget, and you smack that group down and you reabsorb them. It's kind of sending the wrong message. I haven't particularly paid attention to the sales of what Forspoken did, but from what I understand, it didn't do super poor. But again, it didn't meet Square Enix's expectations. So therefore, that's the worst thing in the world. We can't allow you to continue existing. So it's just, it sends a bad message to anybody that's looking to possibly get their studio bought by a big publisher. It's almost better to just keep yourself small, but then, maybe you're asked out for getting the budget you need to make the game you want. Some people out there will argue that not all the best games cost the most money. Some of them had just the best intentions and the most dedicated staff. I don't know. It's Square Enix being Square Enix, and yeah, they're falling in line with what Ubisoft is known for, is just pushing out garbage that not everybody loves, and unfortunately, that's not good enough for them. Everybody has to love their games, otherwise it's not considered a success.
And Yield, how much more risk averse does this make Square Enix? Because they say, oh, well, we tried something new and it didn't work, so we're just going to keep going back to Final Fantasy. Because you're someone that doesn't traditionally buy Square Enix games. So the only hope they have, and I'm the same way, but the only hope they have of getting people like you or me interested in a game is to make a new IP. A new IP, because I don't think at this point we're going to buy a Final Fantasy game. So, I don't have any confidence in them to not just pump out the same old games, and I'm sure that you don't either.
Well, you're right. And then doing this right here, where you created a studio to make new games, and as Matt pointed out, your first failure, your knee-jerk reaction was to, liquidate you, do away with the studio, split everybody up. You're now, as somebody who might be wanting to buy your company, you have a harder sell now. Because, you tried. You tried to push the industry forward, make a new IP. To me, unless it was just an absolute flop and got totally thrashed in reviews, there had to have been some good things out of this game. And so, why did it fail? Was our goal too high? Was there this, that, or the other? Instead of just, you didn't meet our goals, you're done. It sounds like there's some, like Matt said, there's some internal politics going on, and I feel bad for the development team who got a chance to do something new, and, not everything's a winner, and they didn't even give them a chance to follow up or go with something else. They just immediately, nope, you're done. Your game released in, I think it's even 6 months, and we're swallowing you up.
Yeah, and we'll end on this, and if anyone has a comment on this, or has something further to comment, please feel free to go after me. But this, how do you iterate on IP if you're killing it off after the first game? If you're Square Enix and you see potential in some game and you like some of the elements in the game that they said even that they would carry over, within their, their other IP, why not give them another chance to do it right? I mean, obviously the game had some, pretty so-so reviews. I think it was somewhere in the low 60s for its Metacritic, but clearly there's a chance there. People were excited for the game, and even Sony was on board with promoting it. Give the team a chance to come out with a sequel, work on it, and make it a better game overall. Make it so they'll get a better critical reception, but let them learn from their mistakes and let them improve where they need to improve to make it a better game. And then who knows, maybe Forspoken becomes a new IP for you, a new series, or not a new IP, but a new series that, it's like, hey, they are making new things and they're not willing to just give up on developers at first glance. But I mean, this pretty much kills any hope for a sequel, I would think. And not only that, but you again just killed off an entire studio. So, anybody else got anything to comment on the story? Anything? Final thoughts?
All right. No.
All right, folks. Through the magic of post-editing, I am back to introduce yet another trophy special here on Trophy Horrors. If Trophies wasn't enough for you, despite how great it was, we have got Gareth's weekly update on the annual rarity competition here amongst the Loot Bros and the Trophy Horse communities. And this week we got another jam-packed monster episode, plenty of trophies galore, 22 minutes. And, if your platinums aren't up to snuff, if your ultra rares aren't great in number, Gareth will let you know. He's not afraid to take some shots. Don't matter whether it's your dog, don't matter whether it's your mother, Gareth's throwing the heat. So, Gareth, take it away, my friend, and give him hell.
Welcome to another rarity update. You could almost call this one a bonus episode. I was struggling to fit this one in because I was supposed to be away for the weekend. Unfortunately, the British weather has meant that we've seen quite a sizable amount of snow in the northern part of the country, which is where I was heading to, meaning my sporting event that I was supposed to be doing was postponed until June, which means that you get a rarity update. Meant I got to spend my Saturday evening updating it, and then my Sunday morning doing the audio. So we'll get straight into it though. Not much change at the bottom. So the bottom three. Remember, the written update is on the Trophy Looting Facebook group for anybody that wants to see that, and the update to the league table. The link is in there as well. But back to it. So as I said, the bottom three, very little change in that. Bearded Nerds still props everybody up on -1. Hasn't scored a point this week. Hasn't scored a point this year. Has actually lost a point this year. So -1 for Zach. Kalai is second bottom. No change from her either this week. She's on 6 points. Didn't obviously put the PlayStation on this week, but presumably playing sort of Steam Deck or PC or even Xbox, because apparently some people play that as well. Darth Knight is the next one up in the table. He hasn't moved either. He's in 23rd place on 15 points. Hasn't scored a trophy this week. So that's the bottom three out the way. So -1, 6, and 15 points. And then we come into people who have scored trophies. So in 22nd place is Tross. He seems to be going a trophy a week at the moment on the Hogwarts Legacy. So he has got another one, 2 points this week, taking him to 35. And he earned a Sallow Grave in Hogwarts Legacy as his rarest trophy. Above Tross is a Faller, Departed 570, has dropped 1 place. He did score 12 points this week, 89 points in total, and his rarest trophy was in Hogwarts Legacy as well, Collector's Edition, and that actually is also his rarest trophy of the contest so far. The biggest drop of the week so far saw Homer drop from 17th down to 20th place. He has recently acquired a PlayStation 5. Hasn't made him play PlayStation anymore by the looks of it, but he's scored 4 points and is on 91, so 2 points ahead of Departed. And he is playing through Wild Hearts at the moment, which obviously is a new released game recently. There was another faller, so 3 fallers on the trot, which means obviously we had a couple of movers up moving. But Riley, the Brain 76, also dropped. He dropped from only one place, from 18th to 19th, and he was also has been playing Hogwarts Legacy with his rarest trophy, Flew Around the World, 30.44%, which means obviously it's really tight actually between 21st and up to 17th. So there's only actually 9 points between all of those places. So really tight down at that sort of towards the bottom. But moving up, obviously from 21st up to 18th is I'm Styling on Your Bro. He relied pretty much solely on his legacy trophies up to this point, but the Rarity Contest has piqued his interest in the PlayStation ecosystem once again. He earned 38 points this week, but no change to the actual type of games he's playing. He's back on Train Sim World too, and that was an ultra rare trophy at 4.51%, which obviously also comes in at his rarest of the competition, seeing as it's his first week of earning them. So he's on 97 points and just a point behind Tricky Mick. So Tricky Mick is on 98 points with 14 this week scored. He's obviously found some time to do some of the online stuff in Assassin's Creed Black Flag, obviously with the guys from, well, I suppose a combination from Trophy Whores and Loot Bros who have been doing a bit of the online stuff on the Assassin's Creed games. So he's got 12.8% rarity for Sacred Land. And again, no surprise given sort of the caliber of trophies Tricky has earned, that is his rarest trophy of the competition so far. So only 2 points off the 100 point barrier as well. There's a little gap of 18 points up to the next place, who is Jared Stink Palm. A fairly decent week for Jared, to be fair. He broke the 100 point barrier. He moves on to 116. Blood Pact, the Quarry at 15.84%, and looking at his trophies, he's not far away from the platinum on that. I think he's on 97% of the trophies last time I looked. So good luck with getting that platinum. It would be well earned. So those 21 points is actually as well has brought him closer to Sadek, who is consistently scoring points on trophies. Not a great deal. It tends to be around sort of the 8 to 14 mark that he does score. It's 8 this week, taking him to 126 points. So he's 10 points ahead of Jared. And again, another person who had their rarest trophy of the competition, he got it in Atari Flashbacks Classics Volume 2 at 10.34%. Then we have a little jump up to MZ. MZ also had a pretty solid week by his standards recently. He scored 30 points this week. That took him past the 200 point mark. He'd obviously done another bit more boosting, looking at the a couple of the trophies that were earned and similar, and people earned the same trophies. So his rarest was Have You Tried Turning It Off and On Again in Zombie Army Trilogy, Zombie Army 4, 6.42%, and again another one who's scored their rarest of the contest. So that 30 points for his week has meant that he is now within 3 points of JT, who only managed to score 4 points this week. He is playing a mix of games from the PlayStation, from Steam, and from Game Pass. So I'm not expecting JT's scores to be massive until he really sort of starts until he gets onto a game that has rarer trophies PlayStation. But he's also done his rarest trophy of the week was also Sacred Land, same as Tricky's in Assassin's Creed Black Flag. So presumably they were working on that together with some of the other guys. But his 4 points takes him to 213. Next up is Resident Daryl. Daryl had 20 points, so keeping him above MZ still, keeping him above JT. He's on 235, and his rarest trophy of the week was Bloodbath in House of the Dead remake at 37.73%. So the 21 points were scored by Joe. He's in 11th, stays in 11th place. He's still ahead of Daryl, and there's a sort of nice gap there of about 53 points between them. He has also been playing the Quarry, and his rarest trophy of the week was Nick of Time in the Quarry. So he's on 288, so about 50 odd points ahead of Daryl. The 21 points that he had scored meant he has pulled 6 back on Diego, who scored 15. Diego did manage to get past the 300 point mark, and he earned a platinum that is getting more common. I think when we first had people earning the platinum in this trophy, it was a rare. I think it was around 12%. So, but Diego has earned Concordance Officer in Dead Space Remake. That's now holds a rarity value of 20.50%. So that's taken it into the uncommon space. So excuse the pun. So he's on 302 points. Dropping down a place so he's in 9th place is CJ Affectatious Donk. He is a good 78 points ahead of Diego. He had 27 points this week. His rarest trophy was 21.25% Beyond the Stars. Unfortunately, I've obviously written the trophy name down, but not the game that he scored that in, unfortunately. So apologies for that. But it is at 21.25% was his rarest of the week. That 27 points has brought him a little bit closer to Dupes, who scored 14. So CJ pulled back 13 points on him. And now there's only a 3-point gap between them. So CJ 380, Dupes 383. Dupes is playing Octopath Traveler. I did notice that he is still suffering a little bit from the trophy decay of playing newer games, which is similar to JT in that respect. So they both actually dropped a place. So CJ obviously from 8th to 9th and Dupes from 7th to 8th. And the beneficiary of those drops was Yield, who jumped up 2. He had another 50-point week. I think he was 53 last week, another 50 points. So he's starting to sort of pick up speed. He got the same trophy as Nitro as his rarest, which was Have You Tried to Turn It On and Off again in Zombie Army 4. So presumably, again, they were doing that together. So 6.42%. He is 390 points. So again, it is close between those three, between 9th and 7th, with only 10 points difference between the three of them. That, though, 50 points, they are sort of, those three are sort of reeling Corey in. So Corey remains in 6th place. He had 20 points this week, which seems to be a fairly par for the course score for Corey at the moment. I know he's had a couple of super weeks as well. The last couple have been around that figure. So he's on 425 points. So it's 35 ahead of Yield. And it looks like he's going through Outriders at the moment. His rarest one was one for the Bucks in that game. So good luck on that. It's a game that I do want to get to. I've started quite a lot at the moment recently, so that one will have to go on the back burner for the time being. 5th place, it remains as Alex. He had 30 points this week. He is a good. I think I wrote it down on the written update that Alex finds himself all alone at the moment in 5th place. He is 150 odd points either side of him, away from his nearest challengers, either up or down. So, but he had 30 points, as I said, and his rarest trophy was Dapper Kappa in the Bugsnax DLC. So he's obviously got the platinum in that, and obviously also done the DLC for that game as well, which was actually my first PS5 platinum, I believe. So yeah, not a bad game, to be fair. We've got a move in the top 3. So 4th was Marky Fraser last week. He has jumped up, which as a result means that Rick has dropped for the second time in consecutive weeks, I believe, or certainly 2 out of the last 3 weeks. He's in 4th place on 722 points. He still had a decent score this week at 44, and he did get an ultra rare trophy, which was the second rarest trophy of the week. So he got that in Stranded Deep. I hear Industrial is in fashion. Looking at his trophy list, it does seem that he is working towards the platinum on that, and that does have some ultra rare trophies still outstanding as well. So I'd expect still some decent scores to come in from Rick, and he'll be looking to catch Marky Fraser, who was the highest point scorer of the week. He had 98 points and is on 737. So there's only a 15-point gap between the two of them. But he also earned an ultra rare trophy as his rarest of the week at 3.47%. That was the third rarest. So a nice little battle between those two. And I will soon get dragged into it because, as I said, my foot golf season should have started this weekend, which means that's going to take up a lot of my weekends, which is the main time that I find for gaming. But I was quite fortunate this week, I think. It wasn't until towards the back end of the week, Thursday, Friday, that I'd earned a couple of ultra rares. I'd increased my ultra rare by 2 for a couple of dangerous golf trophies. So I managed to sort of somehow scramble to 57 points this week, taking me to 809. But obviously, Mark Fraser is reeling me in as well, seeing as he's outscored me almost by double on both of the last 2 weeks. I did have the rarest trophy of the competition of the week, in dangerous golf, which I am trying to play through. It does seem as though one of the trophies is glitched, but there is a workaround, but it's a bit of a pain in the ass workaround. So I'm trying to do that at the moment, which is playing on an old account and then logging into my main account when I'm on the level that I need to be on. But it's, it can be done because I know people have got the platinum. So I'm in second place, 809 points, 57 this week. So I'm quite happy with my performance so far. And sitting on top of the pile, no surprise really, George Me Scopes a lot, scored again the second highest of the week, 74 points, taken into 1,154. So it's about a 350 point lead over me. And that seems to be increasing. So he's flying at the moment. It's going to be, I know we're only in March, but that is some superb scoring, and that's going to be pretty hard to catch. But there are games out there. We can all do it. We can all sort of look at the games we've got. We've got from Plus. Look at the games on Extra. Are there ultra rare trophies? Also, our main thing is, do you actually want to play those games? So, but he is catchable. Although he has got a really healthy lead at the moment, but he's played a bit of Goat Simulator, and he had a rare trophy in that at 10.99%. So that is impressive stuff from George there. So that's your league table update. As we go into the rarest trophies, there was no change to the actual rarest trophies of 2023. However, you will see a change on the spreadsheet, only because I missed it off last week. So, and that is the rarest trophy overall now. So if I start on the rarest trophies of the week, which is fifth place, well, joint fourth and fifth is with Nitro and Yield. So it's good to see Nitro on there, I think, for the first time of the year. But for Zombie Army 4, 6.42% for the Have You Tried It, Turn It Off and On Again. Marky Fraser, contributing to his highest point score of the week, was Around the World in Injustice, which was knock all opponents through all transitions across all levels. So that sounds like quite a grindy trophy. So well done on getting that one. Redbeard Rick at number 2 for the week with his Stranded Deep trophy at 3.28%, and that was for crafting 10 pieces of furniture using corrugated scrap. And I had the rarest at 2.76%. In Too Many Secrets was for travelling through 100 warps. None of those trophies for the week, though, was good enough to get into the overall. We are now, if you want to get yourself into the top 5 rarest trophies of 2023, you need to be having no higher value than 1.89%, which is occupied by Diego in 5th place, and that was for the platinum in Tetris Effect. Yield, who was a his Deep Rock Galactic trophy was number 1 for a long time, but he's actually found himself dropping down to number 4 for the pro team. That's at 1.15%. Myself at 1.14% in 3rd place for You Got Cornered. and that was for scoring a goal from a corner in kickoff revival. Rick is at number 2 for Capcom Arcade Stadium, Hardcore Gamer, and that was for playing any game a total of 1,000 times. But number 1 is, as I said already, with Mark Fraser in Hoarder in Injustice Gods Among Men. That's really impressive, 0.48%. So that is going to take some beating. And that was for unlocking everything in the archives in that game. So, yeah, well done to Mark Fraser. A really good week for him. Obviously, biggest point score this week. Rarest trophy of the week. In the rarest trophies of the week with 3rd. And then obviously also holds the title of rarest trophy overall. So, well done to Mark. Not too many platinums this week as well. But only 5 in total. So as we start, I had the most common platinum out of everybody, 40.09% for a game called Geometric Sniper, which for a fairly chilled game, I would recommend picking up. It's dirt cheap, using sound. There's actually a sequel, I believe, as well. So it's worth looking if you just want a fairly sort of nice, chilled game that scores you points. The next rarest was Alex with his Bugsnax Platinum, 38.24%. So well done to Alex on that one. Interesting to see what Alex will be going for next. Now he's completed the DLC on that. As we've also meant, one that we haven't mentioned is Yield. Yield also got the Platinum this week. He got that in Jack 3. So well done to Yield on getting that. Although I'd imagine that was probably as a result of debug menu, perhaps, but seeing as though Jack and Daxter trilogy does have that ability. Diego had the second rarest at 20.50%, as already mentioned, for Dead Space Remake, and the rarest trophy of the rarest platinum of the week goes to Mark Duplex, Dupes 25. He finally got the Hogwarts Legacy Plat, so congratulations to that. I know that sounds like a big grind. I know that you'd had issues with a glitched collectible as well. 603 collectibles in total required. So, massive congratulations to earning that one. That sounds like a long haul, but well done. And you can put that one to bed now. For those of you that had seen the trophy looting group, I did put the list of games up that you will have until end of May to complete. I did sort of state that it doesn't have to be on PlayStation. You can play them elsewhere as long as I see a screen. As long as you hadn't earned a trophy by, I think it was the 4th of March or 5th of March, and you show me a completion, and it has to be 100%, not just completing the game of those particular games. You can find them on the trophy looting group. If you don't have access to that, I will post them in the Discord because I don't have them to hand on me at the moment. So I'll put that in due course. So end of May. It's only a small prize, but it's neither here nor there. But it's just a little something. It's obviously a $10 or £10, €10, wherever region you're in. PSN credit. It's just something a little bit extra to keep you going. So that's me over and out. And stay tuned for another update next week. Cheers. Bye-bye.
All right, well, we are getting just past the 9 o'clock hour, and I think I need to get off here so we can watch the final episode of The Last of Us for season 1, and then mull over whether or not I want to watch season 2 when that comes out. Let's go ahead and jump into our shout-outs. Go ahead and do our guest first. Veronica, how about you go first?
First off, I would like to shout out all of our wonderful and amazing listeners and our community. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. I would like to shout out Tricky for reaching out to us and asking us to come back. Definitely want to thank you two guys for always being here, Alex and Yield, always welcoming us with open arms and making sure that even if Tricky isn't here, we are still welcome.
Shows more fun with you also.
And lastly, definitely my husband, who supports me in everything that I do and makes sure that we continue on this journey as a gaming couple.
Yep. The couple of games together. Matt, sir.
Stays together.
Shout out to you, Alex. You yield. Thank you very much for having us on a very entertaining show. Shout out to Tricky for inviting us on to fill in the seats when he has to go deal with silly people. Shout out to my wife, Veronica. As she mentioned earlier, she streams on Twitch pretty regularly. Go give her a follow. And if you feel like, throwing a couple bucks her way and subbing, that's always helpful. Shout out
Matt's
to
got to
my
buy those
fellow
Gundams.
friends.
And
the gun. Hey, it's my yarn collection. It needs to go after. Come on,
and
we all know
Veronica
that.
needs more pink accessories for the computer.
I have to be very careful in what I say because she allowed me to spoil myself and bought that $600 Lego Razor Crest Ultimate Edition that I get to build. So,
Ooh,
Yes, I did.
Super jealous now.
But you all can build it together.
yeah.
Hey, all I asked for was my $100 BTS Lego set. That's all I asked for.
Not true.
Hufflepuff.
Not true. You asked for money to get your hair done next month.
I did, but that is right before our vacation.
That is true. Final shout out is please join us on the Channel 3 community. That is channel, the word 3, the number .gg. It is a gaming centric community, basically Twitter for gamers. You earn XP by doing things. You earn XP by liking other people's posts. You do XP for doing quests and questions. It's a lot of fun. It's about 1,200, a little over 1,200 members now. So come out, join us, have a good time, be with like-minded gamers.
Awesome. And again, Veronica's name on Twitch is Gamer Veranza. So go give her a sub. And yield, sir. That'll bring us to you.
So shout out to Matt and Veronica for being on the show tonight. Shout out to the Brain 76 for working through We Were Here Forever with me. Shout out to Alex and Nitro for our Rocket League Thursday. Shout out to Nitro again for helping me or co-oping with me through Zombie Army 4. Shout out to Rebellion for Zombie Army 4. If you play it, I would recommend picking up the DLC. With all the DLC, when it's said and done, it felt like you got 2 full games out of it. You got your base game and then the DLC, and I like what they did with it. Very enjoyable. Shout out to Gareth for all that he does with the rarity competition and then his posts with it. Shout out to Tricky. Shout out to Alex for hosting, and I'm sure there is other stuff, but I'll try to hit it next week.
All right, and I want to thank the community, the fuel to the fire, this Trophy Horse, because really the only reason the show is still going is because of you all. So thank you for your continued support. Give a shout out to Tricky, who is listening in on the call here but wasn't part of the show. Shout out to Yield for just always being here. A shout out, of course, on a short notice. They thanked us, but we should really be thanking Veronica and Matt for coming on the show for short notice because we needed the help, not them. We took up their free time. So thank you all for coming on. A good time as always. And yes, more of you all when Resident Evil 4 comes out and Matt and I have a chance to spar about it. We'll probably not spar about it. We agree on most things, so I'm sure we'll probably agree on that. Last but not least, give a shout out to my awesome and loving girlfriend Ashley, who I'm about to go watch the season finale of The Last of Us with. And I love you, honey. And yeah, that's gonna be it. So yeah, thank you all for joining us here on episode 563. We appreciate you all so very much. And until next week, happy trophy hunting.
See ya.
The theme song is Venus by the band Even off their album Zenith. Permission granted by the band and 12 Stone Records. You can find them on Facebook by going to www.facebook.com/evenphilippines.